Chapter 57. 10 moves, just right. A playful and frivolous laugh came out of Chu Hen's mouth. The demon Punisher spear was pointed at Wu Zhe in front of him, and a sharp aura burst out of Chu Hen's body involuntarily. 3 feet of spear light. Who could compete with it? In an instant, everyone in the Maple Forest Steak Plaza was shocked, and their faces were full of astonishment. 10 moves. The one who retreated from the wooden stake formation wasn't Chu Hen, but Wu Zhe. This result was completely out of everyone's expectations. Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others, a few of Teacher Shilan's direct students, were even more shocked. They were very clear of Wu Zhe's strength, especially in the wooden stake formation. The other party clearly had a greater advantage than Chu Hen. This guy's strength has increased so much again in just a month? Zhou Lu frowned slightly. She was shocked, but also a little mentally unbalanced. Among the new students this year, her strength was among the top in Tensei Prefecture. But compared to Chu Hen, it was simply insignificant. Looking at Wu Zhe, who had fallen from the wooden stake formation, her face was already extremely gloomy. Being humiliated by a new student was really intolerable. Don't be happy too early. Just now, I didn't even use half of my strength. Next, I will let you understand what is called a gap. Buzz. Before he finished speaking, a lightsaber appeared in Wu Zhe's hand. The saber was more than 3 feet long, narrow like a willow leaf, and had a green luster. The surging true essence quickly gathered towards the lightsaber, and the aura that Wu Zhe emitted rose steadily. With him as the center, the dead leaves on the ground fluttered and danced. You sure are chattering endlessly. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled into a disdainful sneer. With a thought, a similarly dense aura erupted. Threads of black light swept out along his right arm, like vines wrapping around the demon Punisher spear. Buzz, buzz. The strange and restless black light lingered around the demon slayer spear, as if it was covered with a layer of black flames from hell. The atmosphere in the square instantly became tense, and a great battle was about to break out. All of you stop. Just at this moment, a slightly angry rebuke exploded in the square. Everyone was shocked, and their eardrums unconsciously hurt. Senior Brother Qing Yuan? Wu Zhe's face changed as he hurriedly dispersed the condensed true essence power. Chu Hen also retracted the power he had released and looked in the same direction along with everyone else. 3 or 4 young men and women with extraordinary temperaments were approaching from afar. The surrounding people all looked at him with admiration and respect. He Qing'en, who had helped mentor Shilan select the 3 direct students at the 7-star square, was among them. However, most people were looking at the young man beside He Qingyuan. This man was dressed luxuriously and had a slender figure. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, giving off a cynical feeling, and on the chest of his clothes was a black pentagram badge. A black badge. He had accumulated 30,000 star points and could apply to leave the academy in advance. Anyone could tell that this person was not simple. Senior Brother Qing'en, Senior Brother Bianhong, you're here. Lu Yu, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and a few other direct students of Mentor Shilan went up to greet them. He Qing'en first nodded, his handsome brows slightly furrowed as he looked at Wu Zhe and Chu Hen, who had flashed down from the wooden stake array with dissatisfaction. What's going on? Reporting to Senior Brother Qingyun, Wu Zhe hurriedly said, This junior brother came to report a month ago, and as his senior brother, I only said a few words to him. It's fine if he didn't listen, but he even insulted me? That's why I couldn't help but teach him a lesson. You're really good at complaining first, Chu Hen said coldly and sarcastically. Enough. He Qingyuan shouted the 2 of them, and then said, Lu Yu, tell me what's going on? Lu Yu's beautiful eyes wandered, and after thinking for a while, she said, Both of them are at fault. It's just that Wu Zhe started first. Although Lu Yu and Wu Zhe were usually on good terms, in reality, Chu Hen had already apologized to everyone and explained the reason. Who was in the right and who was in the wrong? Everyone present could see it clearly. Why did you only come now? He Qingyuan looked at Chu Hen and asked. Everyone knew that He Qingyuan was an all-round student. Although his innate talent wasn't extremely high, his mind was sharp and his ability to handle matters was very strong. Many times, Mentor Shilan would ask He Qingyuan to deal with the problems between the juniors. Therefore, many students were in awe of He Qingyuan. My apologies for the delay in dealing with the weapons. Chu Hen replied in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Dealing with the weapons? He Qingyuan could not help but be stunned. He remembered that he had asked Chu Hen to deal with the weapons first before reporting to him, but He Qingyuan did not expect him to spend so much time. Bian Hong, who was at the side, could not help but laugh indifferently. He looked at Chu Hen with interest and said, "A newcomer that can knock Wu Zhe down from the wooden dummy array. You have some ability." His tone was indifferent, and there was not a hint of praise or derision. However, when Chu Hen heard this, he did not feel that it was a little harsh on his ears. In addition, Bian Hong's eyes, which were full of rumination, revealed a trace of obscure coldness. He Qingyuan frowned slightly, and then said, "I'll let it go this time, but if there's a next time, you guys can deal with it. Don't forget, in the entire Tensei Prefecture, only the arena is the place to settle personal grudges." "Yes, Senior Brother Qingyuan," Wu Zhe replied in a low voice, coldly glancing at Chu Hen from the corner of his eyes. "All right, Senior Brother Qingyuan, where's Instructor Shilan? Why isn't she here yet?" The one who spoke was the newcomer, Zhou Lu, who was standing beside Li Hui. The others could not help but cast puzzled gazes. He Qingyin nodded slightly, raised his eyelids slightly, and said, "Instructor Shilan has something to do today. She asked me to tell you that today's martial instruction class has been canceled. Also," He Qingyuan's voice paused, and his gaze looked towards Chu Hen, Li Hui, and Zhou Lu, and said, "Instructor Shilan wants the three of you to go to Junlai Pavilion tomorrow night to participate in the Star Elite competition." Star Elite competition? Chu Hen and the other two could not help but be startled. Since returning to Tensei Prefecture yesterday, Chu Hen had always heard people talking about this matter. At that time, he did not pay much attention to it, but now it was related to him. What is the Star Elite competition? When this question came out of Chu Hen's mouth, the surrounding people were all startled. Each and every one of them looked at him with strange gazes. He actually did not even know this. The Star Elite competition is also called the Star Elite Monarch Assembly. This is a newcomer martial arts competition that is held once every year. Every time this time, all the top newcomers and genius students of the high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City will participate. As the saying goes, displaying the sharpness of the stars, the beginning of one's brilliance. Zhou Lu indifferently explained to Chu Hen. At the same time, no confidence could be seen in her eyes, and she seemed to be under great pressure. "Isn't this pretty good?" Li Hui interrupted and said, "What's good about it?" Every year, the newcomers in Tensei Prefecture are ranked at the bottom. On the surface, this is an exchange of newcomers between the various high-ranked martial houses. In reality, it's just a competition to see which high-ranked martial house recruits the most outstanding newcomers. It's also equivalent to representing the martial house. Zhou Lu's family was from the Imperial City, and she was very clear about the situation of the various academies in the Imperial City. Li Hui rubbed his nose. How could he not know this? His words just now were obviously sarcastic. Zhou Lu continued, "In the past years, our Tensei Prefecture was always ranked at the bottom. I remember last year, an ordinary high-ranked martial house student humiliated our academy's newcomers half to death." Looking at Zhou Lu's expression, she most likely did not want to go to the so-called Star Elite Monarch Assembly. He Qingyuan, who was at the side, also secretly shook his head. Even though he did not want to hear these discouraging words, he had to admit that what Zhou Lu said was true. Every year, Tensei Prefecture was jointly suppressed by the various high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City. Almost every time, after being humiliated, they would return resentfully. In recent years, the newcomers in Tensei Prefecture were all afraid of this Star Elite Monarch Assembly, and 9 out of 10 were not willing to participate. "You guys go back and prepare," He Qingyuan said. Immediately, The crowd left the maple forest stump one after another. Chu Hen did not say much, and minded his own business as he turned and left. Wu Zhe looked at Chu Hen's back, and a faint chill surged in his eyes. Bien Hong, who wore a black badge on his chest, lightly rubbed his chin, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Senior Brother Chu Hen, are you going to participate in the Star Elite Monarch Assembly? If you participate, I will participate. Li Hui followed Chu Hen's footsteps and asked. Chu Hen smiled slightly. I'm not sure yet. Although Chu Hen said that he was not sure, he already had an answer in his heart. Since it was a banquet that all the high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City had to participate, then the Bright Moon Academy would definitely be among them. As the newcomers of the Bright Moon Academy, He Chao and the He Xian brothers would most likely also participate. The two of them had vented their anger on Haozi, and they needed to find an opportunity to settle the score. Chapter 58. After leaving the maple tree stump, Chu Hen went back first. He had yet to see teacher Xilan, but he had already started a conflict with her disciple, Wu Zhe. However, Chu Hen had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. If you dare to bully me, then there is no need to endure it. After a while, Chu Hen walked to the front courtyard of the martial house. On the way, many people were talking about the Star Elite competition tomorrow night. Sai, it's time for the Star Elite Monarch Conference again. It's Tensei Prefecture's Newcomer Abuse Day. So be it. Anyways, I won't be going tomorrow night. That's right, even if I go, I will lose face. I might as well not go. When these words stopped in his ears, Chu Hen couldn't help but feel a little indescribable sorrow. Even though he was in the Tensei Prefecture, there were still too many people who linked their face with the martial house. Who knew that if the Tensei Prefecture lost face, the students in the academy would lose face even more. Junior apprentice Brother Chu Hen, along with a familiar shout, two figures walked over. They were Haozi and Mu Feng. Senior apprentice Brother Haozi. Chu Hen smiled, then couldn't help but be startled. He pointed at the other person's arm and said, "What's wrong with you?" Haozi's arm was wrapped in a thick bandage, which was needed to treat injuries. However, what made Chu Hen surprised was that the bandage was tied with two butterfly knots. Mu Feng, who was at the side, raised his eyebrows and said with a proud face, "Hee, how is it? My skills are not bad, right?" Chu Hen's forehead was immediately filled with black lines. Letting Mu Feng change Haozi's dressing was indeed a wrong choice. However, Haozi did not seem to mind as he said, "That senior brother Gu Qing has already helped me with the admission procedures. I am now a member of Tensei Prefecture." Chu Hen nodded. "As long as you don't mind." "How could that be? Tensei Prefecture used to be a great martial house, and the entrance examination for new students in Tensei Prefecture is not worse than that of Bright Moon Academy. So it's obvious that this place is not bad." You're right, Mouse." Mu Feng patted Mouse's shoulder and said, "This place is indeed quite good, especially with Xilan, one of the 4 beauties of the Imperial Capital, and by you, one of the 6 pearls of the Imperial Capital. They are my little Feng Feng's ultimate goal." Chu Hen was both angry and amused at the same time. Every 3 sentences, he would always talk about women. This Mu Feng was really something. While they were talking, there was a commotion on the other side of the plaza. He saw a middle-aged man dressed as a teacher pasting a piece of Xian paper on the wall of a bulletin board. "What announcement is this?" Mu Feng muttered as he ran over to take a look. Chu Hen and Haozi also walked over curiously. The content of the announcement on the paper was about tomorrow's Star Sharp Monarch Conference. The general content was that tomorrow evening, the new students of Tensei Prefecture would head to Monarch Arrival Pavilion to exchange pointers with the new students of the various martial houses in the Imperial Capital. And here I thought it was something good, so as to gain glory for the Academy under the guise of an exchange. Mu Feng tilted his head and rolled his eyes a few times as he muttered to himself, "There should be quite a few beauties attending this Star Sharp Monarch Descend Association. Who knows? There might even be a few beauties who are head over heels for my handsomeness. That's right, the Imperial Capital is so big. There will definitely be a few who are blind, knowledgeable. Junior Brother Chu Hen, are you going to participate in this Star Sharp Monarch Conference?" How's suddenly asked. Why? Well, I'm worried that Yi Chao and his brother will harm you. So, Chu Hen only smiled and didn't say anything else. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Near evening, Chu Hen returned to his residence after practicing his spear techniques for a while. Mu Feng and Haozi seemed to have gone out and didn't return. However, when Chu Hen pushed open the door to his room, a new junior brother shouted from outside the courtyard. Senior brother Chu Hen, are you staying here? Who? Chu Hen asked in surprise. Senior brother Chu Hen. That person walked in and handed a piece of paper to Chu Hen. Senior brother, just now outside. Someone asked me to pass this to you. Oh. Chu Hen was slightly surprised. He received the piece of paper in confusion and asked, Who is that person? I don't know. He's about the same age as you. And he said that you're from the same place. About the same age, from the same place. Flame City of Rain? Chu Hen squinted his eyes and was filled with curiosity. Chu Hen opened the piece of paper. There was only a short sentence on it. Before the sky turns dark, we'll meet at the Fallen Leaf Lake in the West City. Old acquaintances from Flame City of Rain. Old acquaintances from Flame City of Rain? Who? Chu Hen lightly wrinkled his brows, and the confusion on his face became even stronger. Whose handwriting was this? He wasn't familiar with it. Had he seen it before? Chu Hen couldn't tell. However, to be honest, the moment Chu Hen saw the piece of paper in front of him, he recalled the time when he was wronged in Flame City of Rain. At that time, it was also a piece of paper asking him to meet at the Maple Pavilion. He didn't expect that what happened later would become a mark that Chu Hen would never forget for the rest of his life. However, he could be sure that the piece of paper in front of him was not written by Yi Yu. However, since that incident, it could be said that Chu Hen basically had no friends in Flame City of Rain. Should I go? Is this another trap? Looking at the hazy sky, Chu Hen was a little hesitant. In the evening, night began to fall, and the bustling streets of the Imperial City were lit up with dazzling lights. Fallen Leaf Lake in the West City. The scenery was pleasant, and the shore breeze was cool. The willows by the lake were hanging by the lake and seemed to be dancing in the cool breeze. Fallen leaves fluttered and fell, creating circles of soft ripples on the surface of the lake. On the edge of the Fallen Leaves Lake, there was a magnificent restaurant. The restaurant was grand and luxurious, and under the illumination of the resplendent lights, it was resplendent and magnificent. Looking from afar, it looked like a palace that was situated here. The restaurant was called the Falling Moon Restaurant. It was one of the most famous and prosperous restaurants in the capital. Those who could go to the Falling Moon Restaurant were all nobles in the capital. The Falling Moon Restaurant was prosperous and luxurious. At this moment, in a small booth by the lake about 100 meters away from the Falling Moon Restaurant, Chu Hen drank fragrant tea and looked quietly at the surface of Lea Lake. The sky gradually darkened, and many people gathered by the lakeside of the Falling Leaves Lake for a walk. When Chu Hen finished his third cup of tea, a young figure suddenly sat down opposite him. It's better to drink less tea. It's easy to fall asleep at night. There was a hint of arrogance in the gentle voice. This was a handsome young man with a cold appearance. However, in Chu Hen's eyes, this face was familiar. I don't usually sleep at night, Chu Hen answered. He looked at the other person with a firm gaze, and his throat moved slightly. He spat out a few words clearly. Young Master Liang, long time no see. Young Master Liang, old acquaintance of Flaming Rain City. In the entire Flaming Rain City, there was only one person who could make Chu Hen call young Master Liang, and that was the eldest young master of the Liang family, Liang Yiming. Liang Yiming, an old acquaintance of Shaozong College. Together with Chu Hen, Yi Yu, and Lu Xiao, they were known as the four geniuses of Shaozong. Ha, Brother Chu, how have you been? Liang Yiming laughed heartily. Looking at the smile on the other party's face, Chu Hen did not expect that the person who invited him here would be Liang Yiming. The two of them rarely crossed paths when they were at Shaozong College, let alone now. Why did you ask me to come here? Chu Hen asked. I thought you would return to Flaming Rain City. I didn't expect you to go to Tensei Prefecture. However, if I had to choose, I would be the same as you. I would rather settle down in the worst college in the capital than go back and be a joke. Liang Yiming picked up the kettle next to him and poured a cup of tea in front of him. You didn't ask me to come here today to reminisce, did you? It seems like we have nothing to reminisce about. Huh? A faint smile appeared on Liang Yiming's face. He then pointed in the direction of the falling moon tower and said, Brother Chu, look over there, look over there. Chu Hen looked in the direction that the other party was pointing and saw a few young men and women in gorgeous clothes with extraordinary temperament walking towards the entrance of the falling moon tower. It's her? Chu Hen frowned. Although they were nearly 100 meters apart, Chu Hen still saw Yi Yu's figure at a glance. Yi Yu was dressed in a lavender dress. Her beautiful long hair draped over her shoulders, and she exuded a noble and elegant temperament. She was slim and graceful. Under the bright lights, she was particularly beautiful and moving. Beside Yi Yu, a young man with an extraordinary bearing was walking with her, trying to keep a distance from her. Suddenly, Chu Hen's pupils abruptly shrunk, and an ice-cold chill quietly surged within his eyes. He suddenly discovered that there was a pattern on the back of the man's gorgeous clothes. The pattern was in the shape of a scorching sun. The pattern was extremely arrogant and looked like a golden wheel with its sharp teeth. Looking at the pattern, a layer of frost quickly spread on Chu Hen's face. Haha, Brother Chu is really unforgettable. Liang Yiming did not know what Chu Hen was thinking. He only thought that Chu Hen still liked Yi Yu and was angry when he saw Yi Yu with another man. In fact, in Chu Hen's eyes, Yi Yu was nothing. All of the friendship between the two of them had already vanished into thin air on the night when Chu Hen was framed. Liang Yiming smiled faintly when he saw that Chu Hen did not speak. That person is called Wei Qingfan. He is the first young master of the Wei clan and a well-known genius in the imperial capital. It is said that his strength has already reached the core transformation stage. As for which stage, I'm not too sure. The Wei clan is quite powerful in the imperial capital. If you want to know how strong they are, I can only say that they can easily destroy the general's mansion and my Liang clan. Chapter 59. Wei Qingfan, the Wei clan's eldest young master. He was a famous genius in the imperial city, and his cultivation had already reached the core transformation stage. The Wei clan was quite powerful in the imperial city, and the blazing Rain City general's estate behind Chu Hen was nothing in front of the Wei clan. Why are you telling me all this? Chu Hen asked coldly. You're going to participate in the Star Prodigy competition tomorrow night? Liang Yiming didn't answer his question. How about participating? So what if I don't participate? Liang Yiming smiled, then pointed in the direction of the falling moon pavilion again and said, That person in blue is called Rin Chong, and he's this year's newcomer king of Tifeng province. He's at the 3rd level of the origin opening stage, and he inherited the soul assimilating lock bloodline limit, which is called the soul lock battle physique. He can even fight against opponents at the 4th level of the origin opening stage. At this moment, Wei Qingfan, Yi Yu, and a few other young men and women had already walked to the entrance of the falling moon pavilion. The receptionist inside respectfully came out to greet them. Looking from afar, the man called Rin Chong walked beside Wei Qingfan, and the smile on his face was filled with pride and contentment. This Rin Chong's talent is extremely high, and his strength is extraordinary. Moreover, he has an extremely good relationship with Wei Qingfan. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he's this year's newcomer king of the high-ranked martial houses in the entire imperial city, and the only one that can compare to him is the Imperial Martial Academy's #1 newcomer, Shu Shuero. So, Chu Hen's gaze returned to Liang Yiming. So, if you want to live, it's best if you don't appear at the Monarch Arrival Pavilion tomorrow. Wei Qingfan has already instructed Rin Chong that once you participate in the Star Prodigy competition tomorrow, he'll complete the last step. The last step? Chu Hen's eyelids twitched, and a faint coldness flashed in his eyes. I believe you still don't know why Lu Shao framed you in Blazing Rain City, right? Liang Yiming said. A cold light flashed in Chu Hen's eyes, but he didn't say anything. It was Wei Qingfan's order, Liang Yiming continued. Oh, Chu Hen frowned slightly and replied indifferently. At that time, I didn't know Wei Qingfan at all. To be exact, I never knew him. Why would he want to harm me? Already have the answer in your heart. Why do you need me to say it out loud? Liang Yiming smiled lightly. It's Yiyu. That's right. Wei Qingfan has always been pursuing Yiyu, and you were a stumbling block between the two of them. Thus, Wei Qingfan let Lu Xiao put on a good show. Your reputation will be ruined, and your future will be ruined. This way, Missy can justifiably kick you away and make you have no face to follow her in the future. Chu Hen smiled. His smile was especially mocking. He was mocking himself as well as Yiyu. Was this the truth? Was this the reason why he was framed for no reason that night? That Yiyu thinks too highly of herself. As long as she says the word, will I, Chu Hen, still cling to her? Chu Hen sneered and felt a chill in his heart. He only had a good impression of Yiyu. It wasn't like he would cling to her and not let go, and it wasn't like he would insist that she didn't want anything. Why do you have to play so many tricks? But on second thought, this wasn't an unnecessary move by Wei Qingfan. His ultimate goal was to make sure that Chu Hen would never be able to turn over a new leaf and become a complete cripple. What kind of deep hatred did the other party have for him to set himself up like this? Could it be that in Wei Qingfan's eyes, it was enough as long as he was willing? This person, Wei Qingfan, is practically a household name in the imperial city. His personality was very strange. If someone had offended him or someone he wanted to deal with, he would not kill them directly. Instead, he would torture them and make them suffer. When the person had completely broken down, he would then deal a killing blow. As for what happened after that, I don't think I need to say more. The reason why you were rejected by all the high-ranked martial houses was all because of Wei Qingfan's manipulation. But Liang Yiming's voice paused, and he said with some doubt, I'm curious about one thing. How are you still alive? According to the way this matter developed, you shouldn't have had the chance to enter Tensei Prefecture. Then shouldn't Wei Qingfan arrange for your corpse to be strewn on the streets? Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. What a mother of asterisk her, touching my sore spot. From Liang Yiming's point of view, since Wei Qingfan arranged for Ren Chong to get rid of Chu Hen tomorrow night, it meant that the other party already had the determination to kill Chu Hen. In comparison, with Wei Qingfan's character, he should have made his move long ago. Do I have to tell you that I was chased by more than 20 assassins that night? Chu Hen cursed in his heart. Then, Chu Hen stared at Liang Yiming with a burning gaze, and his tone suddenly lowered. How do you know all this? How did Liang Yiming know all this? Moreover, he knew it in such detail. Receiving Chu Hen's suspicious gaze, Liang Yiming smiled disapprovingly. Last night, I accidentally ran into Wei Qingfan and Ren Chong discussing this matter. With your cultivation level, you can eavesdrop on Wei Qingfan's conversation without being discovered. Chu Hen asked in a deep voice. Do you think I have to tell you that my bloodline has the ability to detect things from afar? The bloodline has the ability to detect things from afar? The suspicion in Chu Hen's eyes gradually disappeared. From Liang Yiming's expression and gaze, he could tell that Liang Yiming was not lying. However, there was still one thing that Chu Hen did not understand. Why did you tell me all this? This was the question that Chu Hen was concerned about. In the past, when they were in Shaozong College, the two of them did not have much of a relationship. Their relationship could not even be considered ordinary friends. Logically speaking, Liang Yiming did not have to tell him all this. Moreover, this matter involved Wei Qingfan, a genius that was not to be trifled with. All the more reason for Liang Yiming not to meddle in this matter. There are two reasons why I told you all this. A faint smile appeared on Liang Yiming's face. The first reason is that both you and I are from Flaming Rain City. I really can't bear to see you fall step by step into the trap that someone else has set up. Consider it a friendly reminder. Liang Yiming paused for a moment before he continued. Also, I feel that Brother Chu is not as simple as you look. I'll take this opportunity to do you a favor now. Who knows, when you achieve great success in the future, I might be able to befriend you, right? Of course, before that day comes, you need to preserve your life. Liang Yiming was very straightforward. Although he usually looked cold and callous, he was actually very shrewd. Back in Flaming Rain City, Chu Hen's 9 martial veins were shattered and the tendons in his hands and feet were destroyed. He He thought his life was over. He did not expect that not only did he recover to his original state after 3 months, but his strength had also increased greatly. Who would believe that Chu Hen was just an ordinary person? In addition to the various things that happened in the capital these days, in Liang Yiming's eyes, he was still very optimistic about Chu Hen. Moreover, he had only told Chu Hen the inside story that he had unintentionally found out. This was a small matter that could be settled with just a few words. Even if it was because both of them were from Flaming Rain City, Liang Yiming could unconditionally be a good person for once. Hee, you won't tell others that it was me who told you about this, right? That would be a great loss for me, Liang Yiming said half-jokingly. After learning the whole story, Chu Hen stood up and turned to leave. I'll remember this favor of yours. That's right. Before Chu Hen could take a few steps, Liang Yiming reminded him. That young lady, Yi Yao, is also in Tifeng province. Don't you plan to find time to meet her? Yi Yao is here too? Chu Hen stopped in his tracks. There was a hint of surprise between his brows. Did Wei Qingfan ask her to come? That's not it. It was Yi Yao, that Xiaoya, who entered Tifeng province with her own ability. Liang Yiming also stood up and walked in front of Chu Hen. He patted his shoulder and said, She can't forget you, the person she once regarded as her brother-in-law. Don't ask me how I know. This afternoon, that young lady hesitated at the entrance of Tensei Prefecture for half an hour. In the end, she didn't dare to go in to look for you. Chu Hen wrinkled his eyebrows, and an obscure fluctuation of emotions flashed through his eyes. Then, without saying another word, he left immediately. At night, Chu Hen walked alone on the wide street. For some reason, the sky started to drizzle. The cold rainwater dripped on his face, giving him an inexplicable chill. After learning the truth of the matter, the emotions in Chu Hen's heart were like the brewing lava of a volcano. Under the seemingly calm appearance, there was actually a tsunami of rage. Liang Yiming did not lie. At least more than 90% of what he said was trustworthy. This was something Chu Hen could be sure of. Chu Hen raised his right hand. His pupils reflected the token in his palm. The token was engraved with exquisite patterns. In the center, there was a picture of a scorching sun. This token was the token that Chu Hen found on the body of the leader of the assassins after he was ambushed in the middle of the night. And the scorching sun pattern on the token was exactly the same as the logo on Wei Qingfan's clothes. What was the truth? The answer was obvious. From Raging Rain City to the imperial capital, the series of things that happened to Chu Hen were all because of Wei Qingfan. And in the past, Chu Hen trusted Yi Yu the most. She was also a part of it. The raging flames were like the rising tide, rising into the sky. The veins on Chu Hen's arm burst. The golden token in his palm was forcefully twisted and deformed. The cold frost instantly covered his handsome face. The young man's outline actually became somewhat fierce. Chapter 60. After returning to Tensei Prefecture, Chu Hen entered his room alone and closed the door. What happened to this guy? Could it be that he was dumped by a woman? Outside the door, Mu Feng looked at Haozi with a puzzled expression. Don't make wild guesses. Junior brother, Chu Hen, might be a little tired after practicing martial arts for a whole day. I don't believe it. However, tomorrow is the Star Elite competition. This marshal is going to show off his skills. The reputation of Tensei Prefecture will depend on me. From then on, a golden scale will transform into a dragon. A beauty will fall in love with me, and I will walk to the peak of life. Ha ha ha! Facing Mu Feng's neurotic appearance, Haozi also couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. There was probably no cure for this illness. It was almost midnight. In the silence, Chu Hen was immersed in a state of cultivation. Buzz, buzz. Cheerful and lively true origin energy continuously flowed from Chu Hen's dantian to all the major meridians in his body. A restless aura that fluctuated between strong and weak was constantly released from Chu Hen's body. The true origin energy faintly covered Chu Hen's body, emitting a slightly intoxicating halo in the darkness. Suddenly, an incomparably cold aura suddenly leaked out from Chu Hen's body. The temperature in the room plummeted to the freezing point. With Chu Hen as the center, A cloud of white mist faintly pervaded and rose. This is? Chu Hen was slightly startled. He hurriedly steadied his mind and used his divine sense to investigate the condition of his body. Subsequently, Chu Hen was surprised to find that his true origin energy was actually mixed with wisps of ice profound energy. At the position of his dantian, the true origin energy cyclone was circulating in an orderly manner. However, there was also a small white ice profound energy cyclone condensed in the true origin energy cyclone. Could this be the power contained in the Ice Moon Demon Wolf's spiritual origin liquid? Chu Hen was secretly surprised. He was no stranger to the energy fluctuations emitted by this white cyclone. Previously, in the underground palace of the blood-hunting dragon in the Boneless Mountain Range, Chu Hen was inadvertently injected with the blood essence of the blood-hunting dragon. In order to make Chu Hen suffer less pain, Xia Qing injected the original spiritual source fluid into Chu Hen's body. The Ice Moon Demonic Wolf's origin spiritual liquid contained an enormous amount of pure and powerful energy. The Ice Moon Demon Wolf absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, absorbed the essence of the moon, and used its own strength to condense the ice-attributed energy. In comparison, a drop of Ice Moon Demonic Wolf's source, spiritual yuan liquid, was far more precious than a drop of essence blood of the blood-hunting razorback dragon. Looking at the ball of ice profound energy mixed in the true essence cyclone, Chu Hen was both surprised and surprised. Under normal circumstances, once a person was assimilated with this mass of ice xian qi, they would most likely die. However, this ball of ice xian qi remained in Chu Hen's body obediently, which was naturally puzzling. It must be the power of the chaotic body and the sacred demonic pupil body that's suppressing it. Chu Hen thought back to what had happened in the underground palace, but he did not understand why. His top priority right now was to expel this ball of ice xian qi, or it might lead to some unknown accident in the future. However, just as Chu Hen was about to expel the ball of ice xian qi, a bold idea appeared in his head. Instead of expelling it, I might as well try to fuse it with my true energy, to fuse the power of his true yuan with the power of other attributes to the current Chu Hen. This could not be said to be not daring. It had to be mentioned that the icy cyclone originated from the Beast King, the Ice Moon Demonic Wolf. It was on par with peak human void-piercing realm experts. If it was not handled properly, Chu Hen's meridians would be frozen into powder in an instant. Chu Hen naturally understood this, but after thinking about it for so many days, this ball of icy cyclone that remained in his body did not show any abnormalities, indicating that there must be some reason for it. It was not a bad idea to give it a try. Immediately, Chu Hen tried to use a wisp of true energy to touch the ball of ice xian qi while operating his true energy. The moment the two intersected, a wisp of ice xian qi instantly intersected with the power of true energy. A bone-chilling power immediately filled Chu Hen's body, and the sharp extreme cold extended towards all major meridians. No, Chu Hen was shocked and subconsciously mobilized the power of the demon pupil. Immediately, a strange purple power integrated into the power of true energy. When the power of the sacred demonic pupil body was integrated, the ball of ice xian qi immediately became docile and peaceful. The power of the sacred body was really powerful. Chu Hen was surprised and happy. It seemed that the main reason why he was safe these days was that the ball of ice xian qi was suppressed by the sacred demonic pupil body and the chaotic body. When I completely tame this ball of ice xian qi, I can integrate it into the power of true energy. In the process of fighting with others, there will be another big killing move. Chu Hen secretly thought. Immediately, with the help of the sacred demonic pupil body, Chu Hen began to integrate the ice xian qi with the power of true energy. Unconsciously, the temperature in the whole room became cold and cold. Time passed minute by minute. Chu Hen had forgotten the time, and the door of the room was always closed. It's already noon. Why hasn't junior brother Chu Hen come out yet? Howsey stood outside the door of Chu Hen's room, his face revealing a bit of confusion. Who cares about him? Mufeng was holding a big roasted chicken in his hand, eating it with relish. If he doesn't go to Xingrui Monarch Descent Association, Mufeng will laugh at the heroes tonight. Haozi shook his head and thought to himself, it's good that junior brother Chu Hen doesn't go, that He Chao might think of some way to deal with him. In the blink of an eye, it was already afternoon. The new geniuses of the various martial academies in the imperial city began to prepare and set off. In the room, Chu Hen sat on the bed motionlessly, like a rock. Strands of true energy lingered around his body, gorgeous like a thin layer of gauze. And within the envelopment of the true energy, a faint white ice Xian Qi could be faintly seen. Buzz, suddenly, the previously calm, true energy instantly became chaotic and agitated. A strong aura that surpassed the second level of the Tangyuan realm exploded from within Chu Hen's body. Invisible waves of air caused the tables, chairs, cupboards, everything in the room to shake, and the chaotic aura burst forth wantonly. Immediately after, Chu Hen opened his eyes, and a bewitching purple light flickered like a ray. "Ooh!" With a shout, Chu Hen raised his hand and pushed out his palm. A white ray of true energy flew out from his palm and landed on the round table in front of him. Buzz! The white palm energy hit the round table, and in the next moment, a cold air spread out. Chapter 61. Buzz! A circle of true essence emitting a soft white light came out of Chu Hen's palm and attacked the round table. An icy cold air spread out, and in an instant, the entire table was covered in a thick layer of frost. Looking at the scene before him, a satisfied smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. I didn't think that fusing with this ball of mysterious ice energy would allow me to break through to the third level of the element opening realm. Of course, this breakthrough did not come as a surprise to Chu Hen. Previously, in the Boneless Mountain Range, Chu Hen had not completely absorbed the energy contained in the blood-hunting dragon's essence blood and the Ice Moon Demon Wolf's spiritual yuan liquid. There was still a portion of it remaining in his body. Furthermore, he had already reached the peak of the second level of the element opening realm when he returned from the Boneless Mountain Range. It was only a matter of time before he broke through again. However, what made Chu Hen pleasantly surprised was that tonight's Rising Star Monarch Conference was just ahead of tonight's. This made Chu Hen even more confident about tonight's Rising Star Monarch Conference. Half an hour later, at the main entrance of the Tensei Prefecture. He's here. Senior Chu Hen is here. Approximately 50 or so new disciples from the Tensei Prefecture gathered together anxiously. Seeing the appearance of Chu Hen and Mufeng, the atmosphere of the crowd instantly became livelier. See, I knew that Senior Chu Hen would definitely participate. Li Hui, who was standing at the front of the crowd, said excitedly. Zhou Lu pursed her lips and replied unhappily. Even if he went, it would be useless. There are so many genius disciples from the other high-ranked martial houses. We would still be humiliated. Senior Chu Hen even knocked Senior Wu Zhe down from the wooden stake array yesterday. Li Hui retorted. Anyone could see that Senior Wu Zhe did not use his full strength. Anyway, I believe in Senior Chu Hen. The Star Sharp Monarch Descent Association was originally organized by the new and talented disciples of the various martial houses. The instructors of the academy would not act as the leaders, but the high level of the martial house would arrange for several outstanding new students to act as the leaders. Senior brother Chu Hen, teacher Song Chung has arranged for you and Lin Tao to be the team leaders this year. However, Lin Tao has refused to participate in the Star Sharp Monarch Descent Conclave. Therefore, all of us have been waiting for you. Li Hui stepped forward and said, Lin Tao is not participating? Chu Hen was slightly astonished. He looked at the 50-odd new students in front of him and couldn't help but shake his head inwardly. This number was less than 1/10 of the total number of recruits this year. It seemed that in the eyes of the majority of the new disciples of the Heavenly Star Martial House, the so-called Elite Stars Monarch Descent Association was a minefield that could not be touched. If one wanted to be safe and sound, it was better to stay far away from it. F***ck, it can't be. Only this many people? Mu Feng directly said what he was thinking. Li Hui laughed awkwardly. This is only because senior sister Zhou Lu and I tried our best to persuade them to come. Last year, our Tensei prefecture only had 30-odd people who participated in the Star Sharp Monarch Assembly. Mu Feng shook his head and sighed. Uncle, in terms of aura, it's already so weak. After hearing what Mu Feng said, everyone became even more embarrassed. Chu Hen glanced at Mu Feng and said unhappily, "Don't we have you, the most handsome under heaven? It's all up to you tonight." Hearing this, Mu Feng immediately glared at Chu Hen. His eyes were filled with disdain. F***ck. It's easier said than done. There are so many high-ranked martial houses in the imperial capital, but they're all given to me. Wouldn't their kidneys be damaged? Chu Hen no longer cared about Mu Feng's complaints. Since teacher Song Chung had given him the task of leading the team, then he not only represented himself, but also the entire Tensei prefecture. Fellow seniors and juniors, no matter what others think of our Tensei prefecture, at least we won't hide in our homes and not come out. No matter what awaits us next, as long as we try our best, we won't let ourselves down. Everyone's hearts lit up, and they unconsciously clenched their fists. Their eyes were burning with passion. Display the Star Sharp, the Rising Edge. Star Sharp, the Monarch Descends Association. Let's go. Go, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other new students all raised their arms and cheered. Soon after, under Chu Hen's lead, they headed in the direction of the Monarch Descends Pavilion. The Monarch Descends Pavilion, located in the busiest area in the central part of the imperial city, the grand and imposing three-story pavilion was like a luxurious palace. The glazed bricks and tiles, the high walls and the courtyard, and the dazzling and aesthetically pleasing lights illuminated the Monarch Arrival Pavilion. The area within a radius of over a kilometer was as bright as day. In the south direction of the Monarch Descends Pavilion, there was a large square in front of it, and a magnificent arena had been built there. The arena was more than 50 meters long and wide, and there were steps around it. On the center of the arena, the words Star Sharp were drawn with bold strokes, and the strokes showed off their sharpness. Tables and chairs were set up around the arena, and the new and talented students of the various martial houses took their seats according to the corresponding seating area. At this moment, the new and talented students of the various martial houses in the imperial city had already arrived one after another. A few young ladies of the Monarch Descends Pavilion greeted them in a refined and courteous manner. "Hello, the seats for the Thunder Martial House are over there. Please follow me. Lingyun Academy, your seats are over here. Welcome all the talented students. Please forgive us if we haven't received you well." A long line of young students came from all directions of the imperial city to the Monarch Descends Pavilion. All the talented students were in high spirits, and they were in their prime. They were like the stars in the night sky, bright and shining. Every year at this time, the Monarch Descends Pavilion would attract countless guests. However, these guests could only sit in the designated area for the audience. Some of the upper-class nobles who had quite a bit of status and power were all sitting in the private seats near the windows on the second and third floor of the Junlai Pavilion. They were drinking tea and enjoying desserts, waiting for tonight's battle between the newcomers and the star elites. As time passed, the arrival of the new and talented students of the various martial houses had already set off all kinds of high-spirited atmosphere, especially when Rhinoceros, Giant Elephant, Bright Moon. These were the 5 most famous martial houses' new geniuses. Their arrival set off a wave of jubilation. "It's He Chao. Look at the Bright Moon Academy. I heard that He Chao's strength has already reached the 2nd level of the element opening realm. It can't be so fast." It's absolutely true. In just 2 months, he went from the 9th level of the channel opening realm to the 2nd level of the element opening realm. As expected of a genius with the spiritual sword battle body bloodline limit. There's also the Giant Elephant Martial House. Yu Qingyu, it's Miss Yu Qingyu. I heard that Miss Yu Qingyu's strength also had a big breakthrough. Miss Yu Qingyu is one of the 6 pearls of our imperial city. Not only is she beautiful, but her talent is also so high. Whoever can chase after her can really be called a winner in life. Amidst the lively cheers, the geniuses of the Giant Elephant, Bright Moon, and Spirit Rhino Academies took their seats. Of the 5 great academies in the Imperial City, only the Imperial Style Academy was left, and the Imperial Martial Academy had yet to appear. Of course, there was also the Tensei Prefecture that many people were concerned about. Do you think that the people from the Tensei Prefecture will come this year? What are they doing here? Looking for a beating? I remember last year, the Tensei Prefecture was beaten half to death by the Falcon Martial House's new disciples. I also remember. At that time, the Falcon Martial House's new disciples said that if the Heavenly Star dared to come, they would ruthlessly beat them up. What a disgrace. They're here. The people from the Tensei Prefecture are actually here. They really dare to come and look for a beating. And the people from the Tifeng Province are here too. Boom! The teams from the Tensei Prefecture and the Tifeng Province appeared at the same time. This was a little dramatic. One was a high-ranked martial house that everyone admired, while the other was the lowest-ranked academy. The two teams met at the same time, immediately forming an extremely sharp contrast. There are so many people from the Tensei Prefecture. Indeed, there are quite a lot. It seems like there are more than a dozen more than last year. Look at this situation. Is the Tensei Prefecture going to rise this year? Amidst the mocking voices, the two teams from the Heavenly Star Academy and the Imperial Wind Academy arrived at the entrance of the plaza in front of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion at almost the same time. Big Brother Chu Hen, a gentle and somewhat weak voice, immediately touched a certain chord in the depths of Chu Hen's heart. Chu Hen raised his eyes and looked over, only to see 2 familiar silhouettes in front of the Emperor Wind Martial House's team. The 2 daughters of the Yi family in the Flame of Rain City, Yi Yu and Yi Yao. To suddenly meet under such circumstances, Chu Hen seemed to be a little surprised. Little Yao, long time no see. Chu Hen smiled slightly, a gentle expression on his face. Chu Hen's smile was still the same as before, as gentle as a brother's. Yi Yao's big eyes couldn't help but show a trace of surprise. She subconsciously looked at Yi Yu beside her. However, there was no expression on Yi Yu's pretty face. She didn't even look at Chu Hen directly. So this is the Flame of Rain City's prodigy Chu Hen? How disrespectful. Suddenly, along with a mocking laugh, a young man with a playful smile on his face slowly walked forward. The moment this person appeared, the atmosphere immediately ignited. Rinchong, it's Rinchong, the rookie king of Defeng. I really admire him. I personally saw Rin Chong fight with the 4th level natal opening realm Wuxiu, and he wasn't at a disadvantage. Amazing. This year, Tifeng Province will most likely be able to suppress Imperial Martial Academy and take back the crown they lost last year. Is there even a need to say it? With Rin Chong here, what can't we do? A reader brother asked about this book's cultivation techniques and martial techniques. That brother felt that the two should be separated. Here, I will give a simple explanation. Cultivation techniques and martial techniques. In this book, I have generalized them together. No matter if it is cultivation techniques, offensive martial techniques, or defensive martial techniques, I have directly defined all 3 as martial techniques. Some martial skills can change the attribute of the true yuan in one's body. Some martial skills can condense true yuan into a sure kill technique, and some martial skills can make one's defense invulnerable. In other words, there is no specific cultivation method, nor is there a single one, nor is it irreplaceable. For the low-level Wuxiu to cultivate high-level martial skills, it has a supportive effect on his cultivation. Whether it is cultivation methods, or martial skills, offensive martial skills, or defensive martial skills, they can all be used in battle, so I might as well generalize them as martial skills. I don't know if my brothers will be dissatisfied with this setting, but this dot is just a small dot. I hope my brothers can figure it out. After all, a novel is its own world. A novel written by someone else is a world created by someone else. And a novel written by me is a world created by me. In the world of my novel, you don't have to be the same as others. However, I'm still very happy that my brothers can raise questions and interact with me. No matter what questions you have, you can leave them in the book review section. After I see them, I will reply to them one by one. Chapter 62. When a newcomer king of Tifeng Province, Ren Chong, appeared, the atmosphere in Junlai Pavilion became unusually restless. Countless people looked at Ren Chong with approval in their eyes. However, at this moment, Ren Chong was looking at Chu Hen in front of him with a playful expression. His tone was full of mockery, especially when he said the words "great prodigy Chu," which were especially ear-piercing. "Do I know you that well?" Chu Hen replied coldly. "Not familiar, not familiar." A cynical smile appeared on the corners of Ren Chong's mouth. "But I've long heard of great prodigy Chu's deeds. At that time, he attempted to molest a young girl in Flaming Rain City, and in the entire Imperial City, only the Heavenly Star Marshal House would want you what? Attempted to molest a young lady?" As soon as he said this, everyone couldn't help but look at Chu Hen. Even Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other newcomers from Tensei Prefecture were extremely surprised. Chu Hen was actually this kind of person? No. Yi Yao hurriedly defended Chu Hen. Brother Chu Hen was framed. This matter has already been investigated. Brother Chu Hen was framed. The soft voice seemed to be especially insignificant in this huge square. But to Chu Hen, this voice was extremely warm. Ren Chong still didn't take it seriously. He turned to the side and said to Yi Yu, "Junior sister Yi Yu, no matter what, we are from the same place. Why don't you greet him when you see him?" Yi Yu raised her eyelids slightly and glanced at Chu Hen indifferently. She said indifferently, "I don't know him well. There's nothing to say. I don't know him well." It was just a few simple words, but it was filled with disdain. Her indifferent expression was a complete disregard. Even so, Chu Hen could still feel a bit of pity from the other party's indifferent glance. That's right, it was pity. Not only was Chu Hen rejected by Tifeng Province, but he was also rejected by nearly 30 high-ranked martial houses in a row. As a result, he could only hide in a bottom-tier college like Tensei Prefecture. This was like the pity the nobles felt towards the beggars on the streets. Regardless of how Chu Hen had shocked everyone and defeated Lu Xiao in Flaming Rain City, Chu Chen had not been able to defeat Lu Xiao. But now, Yi Yu and Chu Hen were standing on two different levels. Moreover, many people knew that the famous genius of Tifeng Province, Wei Qing Fan, was pursuing Yi Yu. This series of superior auras made Yi Yu look down on Chu Hen again. Pity, a word that was even more hurtful than sympathy. Chu Hen stared coldly at Yi Yu's indifferent face. His throat moved slightly as he spat out a few words clearly and heavily. "Remember what you said today. Remember what you said today." The young man's face was full of pride and determination. Yi Yu acted as if she did not hear it. She was as arrogant as a princess surrounded by people. "Brother Chu Hen." Yi Yao bit her red lips and murmured softly. Her knitted eyebrows showed that she could not bear to see him. "Haha, since you're not familiar with him, then don't waste time," Ren Chong teased. Immediately, Yi did not take another look at Chu Hen. Together with the new geniuses of the Emperor Wind Martial House, she took the lead and entered the front courtyard of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion. Yi Yao looked at Chu Hen with misty eyes. However, Chu Hen merely gave her a faint smile, indicating that there was no problem. However, under Chu Hen's calm smile, an endless coldness surged through his body. Liang Yiming, who was in the Tifeng Province team, shook his head helplessly as he looked at Chu Hen. Yesterday, he had clearly reminded Chu Hen not to appear at the Monarch Arrival Conference. However, Ren Chong still came. Before the conference even started, Chu Hen had already been invisibly humiliated by Ren Chong. Later on, something that would make people sigh would happen. Forget it. I have already told him all that. Whether he dies in Ren Chong's hands today has nothing to do with me. Liang Yiming thought to himself. Brother-in-law, that guy is so arrogant. I will help you beat him up later. Mu Feng patted Chu Hen's shoulder and comforted him. Chu Hen did not say anything. He only led the team behind him towards the seats of Tensei Prefecture. Senior Mu Feng, Ren Chong is at the third level of the elemental opening realm. Li Hui reminded. Mu Feng's expression froze for a moment. Then he chuckled and said, "Then I will send you to beat him up." I believe in your abilities. Sigh, if I can beat Rinchong up, do I still need to stand here? Before the Star Arrival Conference started, Tensei Prefecture had already received a round of blows. What made people feel helpless was that the seats of Tensei Prefecture students were actually in the corner. There were really not many people who looked up to Tensei Prefecture. The successive setbacks caused the confident crowd, who had come with their arms raised and cheered loudly, to immediately lose their confidence. All of them were like frosted eggplants, listless. The seats of Bright Moon School. I didn't expect that bastard to really dare to come, Xian said as he looked at Chu Hen with a fierce and cold expression. He Chao, who was at the side, smiled indifferently and stroked his chin with his right hand. Isn't this just what we wanted? He. Big brother, later on, you have to properly torture him before killing him. He Chao smiled without saying anything, but a sinister light flashed in his cold eyes. The Imperial Martial Academy's team is here. Along with a cry of surprise, a high-spirited team could be seen approaching from afar. The entire Monarch Arrival Pavilion was in an uproar. The momentum of this team surpassed that of the other 4 high-ranked martial houses. The Imperial Martial Academy was ranked first among the 5 most famous high-ranked martial houses. There was no doubt about its popularity. Sigh, it would be great if we could be so welcomed. A young student of the Heavenly Star Martial House secretly sighed. Beauty, beauty. Mu Feng opened his eyes wide and stretched his neck, not afraid of making a fool of himself. Wah, ha, it's Shu Shiuro won the 6 pearls. TSK, TSK, TSK. She's really beautiful. Senior brother Mu Feng, can you take it easy? Li Hui helplessly shook his head. The Tensei Prefecture had already suffered enough today. They could not continue to lose face. Under the gazes of the crowd, the Imperial Martial Academy's team was led by 2 young geniuses, a man and a woman. The man had a refined and handsome appearance, and he held a paper fan in his hand. He had a graceful bearing and revealed a trace of scholarly aura. As for the woman, she wore a long white dress. Her facial features were beautiful, and her long hair was tied up with a beautiful hairpin. Her beautiful eyes were as clear as water, revealing a gentle and beautiful appearance. That's Yang Yute, even he came. Some time ago, I heard that Yang Yute went out to gain experience. I thought he wouldn't be able to make it to this year's Star Elite Monarch Descent meeting. With the 2 of them from the Imperial Martial Academy, Rin Chong from Tifeng Province should be under a lot of pressure. It should be, but with the Imperial Martial Academy style, they most likely won't bully the few with numbers. Rin Chong, Yang Yute, Shu Shiuro. These 3 people were the 3 most popular geniuses in the Imperial Capital's high-ranked martial houses. Their strength had already surpassed most of the old students. Among the 3 geniuses, the Imperial Martial Academy occupied 2 of them. This was sufficient to show where its charm lay. It was unknown if it was intentional or if it was a coincidence, but the seats for the Tifeng Province and the Imperial Martial Academy were in adjacent areas. Before Yang Yute sat down, his gaze directly swept towards Rin Chong. Although he didn't say anything, his gaze contained a trace of faint meaning. Rin Chong smiled faintly and directly returned a frivolous and provocative gaze. No matter when geniuses that were too dazzling would involuntarily start a confrontation. On the side of Tensei Prefecture, Mu Feng was already standing on a chair, and even half of his foot was almost on the table. Li Huiyi, Zhou Lu, and the rest of the Tensei Prefecture students all had darkened faces. All of them stood far away, afraid that they would be taken as lunatics by others. Beside Mu Feng, only Chu Hen remained indifferent. With Rin Chong's provocation and Yi Yu's attitude, it was impossible to say that Chu Hen didn't have any mood swings. But the one that Chu Hen hated even more was the person hiding behind the scenes, who thought that he was in control of everything. AI, Chu Hen. Mu Feng stretched out his hand and waved it in front of Chu Hen, but his attention was actually on the Imperial Martial Academy side. Do you think Imperial Martial Academy's Yuchinyu is more beautiful, or Mammoth Martial House's Yuchinyu is more beautiful? Are you talking about me? Suddenly, A voice that was as sweet as a silver bell sounded out. This sudden voice caused Mu Feng to immediately be startled. He abruptly turned his head around, and a slender and elegant young lady with a delicate face was imprinted into his eyes. F***, Yu Chinyu, I caught off guard. Mu Feng didn't even finish his words and directly fell off his chair in fright. Yu Chinyu was amused and giggled. Her red lips curled up, revealing her white teeth. She was beautiful and moving. Without saying anything further, Mu Feng quickly climbed up as if nothing had happened and revealed a confident smile. Cough, cough. Miss you, this one is Mu Feng. I was rude just now. I hope, miss, you can forgive me. May I ask, miss you, are you looking for me? The surrounding Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others all felt disdain and secretly cursed. Only blind people would come looking for you. Yu Chinyu smiled, and her beautiful eyes turned to look at Chu Hen. So you're in Tensei Prefecture? I've been looking for you for the past 2 months. Hearing this, the smile on Mu Feng's face immediately froze. A gust of cold wind blew past, and even his heart felt cold. It was Chu Hen again. Previously, it was Long Xuan Xuang, one of the 4 beauties of the imperial capital, and now it was Yu Chinyu, one of the 6 pearls. Mu Feng secretly cursed. How much money did this guy, Chu Hen, owe? Miss you. Is there something you need from me? Chu Hen smiled politely, but from his tone, it could be seen that he wasn't in a good mood. Why didn't you go to the giant elephant martial house? Yu Chinyu simply sat down next to Chu Hen, and this seat was previously occupied by Mu Feng. The latter was directly ignored. It's a long story. Chu Hen shook his head and didn't want to talk about this matter. However, the scene of Yu Chinyu walking to Chu Hen's side and talking to him was seen by many people. That person is? Yi Yao opened her big and cute eyes and then glanced at Yi Yu beside her. Yi Yu's eyes faintly revealed a trace of obscure and complicated fluctuations. Rin Chong involuntarily narrowed his eyes, and the coldness between his brows continuously surged. Chapter 63. Junlai Pavilion was ablaze with lights and looked very imposing. The place, illuminated by the resplendent lights, was as bright as day. More than 6,000 people had gathered in the huge arena. Almost all of the talented new students from the various high-ranked martial houses had arrived. The atmosphere in the arena could be said to be a boiling cauldron of voices. Star Elite Competition, Newcomer Assembly. The ones that attracted the most attention were none other than the Imperial Wind Martial House, Bright Moon Martial House, Mammoth Martial House, Spiritual Rhino Martial House, and Imperial Martial House. These were the 5 great martial houses. Apart from them, the Heavenly Star Martial House was next. However, what everyone cared about was whether or not the Heavenly Star Martial House was still at the bottom. Previously, when Tensei Prefecture and Tifeng Province came to Junlai Pavilion at the same time, there was already a sharp contrast. Under the suppression of Tifeng Province's momentum, Tensei Prefecture was invisibly humiliated. As for the leader, Chu Hen, he was provoked by Rin Chong and looked down upon by Yi Yu. However, at this moment, what was rather surprising was that Yu Chinyu of the Mammoth Martial House actually took the initiative to chat with Chu Hen. This scene could not help but be more surprising. I didn't expect that guy to be acquainted with the beloved daughter of the Western Sea Great General. Rin Chong narrowed his eyes, a cold and fierce air surging between his brows. Then, he sneered, "Humph. Even if you were acquainted with the Empire's princess, I would still let you be carried away today, not to mention that you are acquainted with Yu Chinyu." The cold light in Rin Chong's eyes was fleeting. Under Yi Yu's calm expression, there was a faint ripple, but she quickly regained her composure. As arrogant as Yi Yu was, she would not change her opinion of Chu Hen just because he was acquainted with someone. Moreover, Yi Yu had always known that Wei Qing Fan had not even shown her face, yet Chu Hen was rejected by all the high-ranked martial houses. It could almost be said that he had no foothold in the imperial capital. Only the worst schools like Tensei Prefecture are suitable for you. You are completely incomparable to Wei Qing Fan. Yi Yu's lips curled into an indifferent smile. Previously, I thought that you would be at the Mammoth Martial House. Who would have thought that you would go to Heavenly Star in the end? This is truly unexpected. Yu Chenyu sat beside Chu Hen, completely ignoring the strange gazes of the surrounding people. Chu Hen smiled. I didn't expect Miss Chenyu to miss me so much. Of course, Yu Chenyu said, I didn't expect you to help me so much. Yu Chenyu said, Yu Chenyu, you. The help that Yu Chenyu spoke of was referring to the time during the Mammoth Marshall House's entrance test. And with you, and an as Chu Chun as, you as Chun, and and Chu, and Chu as with, as Chu as, with as, and as, of, but Chu Hen firmly shook his head. No need, I'm fine in Tensei Prefecture. Seeing the determination in Chu Hen's eyes, Yu Chenyu pursed her red lips. She hesitated, but did not say it again. All right then, I heard that the Heavenly Star Marshall House's instructor Shilon is a peerless beauty that can cause the downfall of nations. Is this true? I haven't seen teacher Shilon yet. Chu Hen replied. In my eyes, teacher Shilon is not as beautiful as you, Miss Chenyu. Mu Feng saw the situation and quickly interrupted. However, at the same time, the atmosphere gradually calmed down. All the new and talented students from the high-ranked Marshall houses had arrived. The Rising Star Monarch Conference was about to begin. A middle-aged man wearing luxurious clothes walked up to the arena in the middle of the square with a smile on his face. The Rising Star Monarch Conference is about to begin. I'll go back first. Yu Chenyu faintly smiled at Chu Hen, then left the Heavenly Star Marshall House's group and returned to the Giant Elephant Marshall House's seating area. Mu Feng was once again ignored by the side. A cool breeze blew past. Mu Feng tilted his head and looked at Chu Hen. Are you as handsome as me? I'm not even 1/10 as handsome as you. Chu Hen lazily replied. You're not as handsome as me. Why does Miss Yu Chenyu only look at you and not talk to me? Because you're too handsome. She's too embarrassed to look at you. Mu Feng nodded his head in agreement. That's right. Little Feng, like people who speak the truth the most. Later on, if you don't like anyone, just tell me, and I'll help you cut them down. Of course, this is only limited to those below the elemental opening stage. Not far away, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other Tensei Prefecture disciples shook their heads and sighed. They felt that sitting together with Mu Feng was not just shameful, but completely shameful. Welcome to the Monarch Arrival Pavilion, geniuses. My surname is Yao, and I'm the chief steward of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion. A middle-aged man dressed in luxurious embroidered clothes walked onto the stage and politely cupped his fists towards the surrounding geniuses of the various high-ranked martial houses. We're indebted to the higher-ups of the various high-ranked martial houses. Every year at this time, the geniuses of the various high-ranked martial houses are invited to come here to exchange pointers and learn from each other. If there's anything that's not satisfactory, I hope that all the geniuses will forgive us. The audience burst into enthusiastic applause. There were also many young students who responded simply out of courtesy. Steward Yao waved his hand. His calm gaze swept across Ren Chong, Shu Shuoro, Yang Yute, He Chao, Yu Chenyu, and the other geniuses. Soon after, he laughed. Haha, I believe that not many people are willing to listen to a meddlesome fellow like me spout nonsense. Then, I'll leave this arena to all of you. As for the star competition, our Monarch Arrival Pavilion will not participate in any way. As for how to exchange pointers and what the rules are, it's all up to all of you to decide. However, I still hope that all of you can stop when it's appropriate and not harm the harmony. As soon as Steward Yao finished speaking, he retreated to the side of the arena, raised his hands high up, and spoke with a loud and passionate voice. The star competition for supremacy, the first light of the star competition. I hope that all the geniuses will be able to shine brightly on this arena. I declare that the star competition begins now. This arena will be left to all of you to decide. After he finished speaking, Steward Yao retreated from the arena. Then, he returned to the area where the spectators were spectating. Over the years, the star competition had always been like this. The Monarch Arrival Pavilion was only responsible for providing the arena, and did not care about anything else. It was all up to the new geniuses of the various high-ranked martial houses to control the rules and situation of the competition. It was precisely because there were no fixed rules and restrictions. All the new geniuses in the arena released their passionate emotions to their heart's content. The star competition for supremacy. The first light of the star competition for supremacy. Imperial Martial Academy will win and seize first place again. Senior brother Rin Chong is mighty. Today, Tifeng Province will be crowned king. The passionate atmosphere was like a tsunami that swept out in all directions. The entire arena was filled with thunderous applause and loud cheers. In the next instant, a young figure nimbly leaped onto the arena like a cheetah. This person wore a badge with a lightning pattern on the chest of his clothes. Du Fei of the Thunder Martial House is here. Who dares accept my challenge? Simple and direct, young and arrogant, without the slightest bit of restraint. Is the Thunder Martial House that amazing? Lingyun Academy, Lu Gan, accept my challenge. Similarly, a young and arrogant voice sounded. A comparatively thinner man walked out from the Lingyun Academy's group, and without saying a word, he directly flashed onto the arena. On the arena, the two people faced each other. The atmosphere of the crowd below the arena was high. Du Fei, you can do it. Lu Gan, you'll win. Kick that guy off the arena. You must win the first battle and seize a good start. The Thunder Martial House and Lingyun Academy's groups were in high spirits as they cheered for the two people on the arena. A trash like you dares to clamor in front of me. Du Fei of the Thunder Martial House moved his mind, and a blazing fireball immediately appeared in his palm. A scorching wave of air spread out in all directions with Du Fei at the center. Many of the people below the stage revealed looks of amazement. Lu Gan of the Lingyun Academy, sneered disdainfully. It's just a flame martial physique. What's there to be proud of? Buzz. Before he finished speaking, a dagger flashing with a cold light appeared in Lu Gan's hand. At the same time, a wave of true yuan burst out from his body. Whoosh! Lu Gan immediately left his spot and charged towards Du Fei at an extremely fast speed. Prepare to accept defeat. Don't be too proud. A cold light flashed in Du Fei's eyes. With a wave of his hand, the flames in his palm danced forward, setting off a scorching wave of air that blasted towards Lu Gan's face. Lu Gan was not the least bit afraid. He released the true yuan in his body and quickly climbed onto the dagger in his hand. He chopped down with a backhand, and the fireball in front of him was directly split in the middle. With this little strength, you can't even roast a mouse. I'm roasting a stupid mouse like you. Immediately after, Du Fei quickly took out a short knife and chopped towards his opponent's head. Ding! Lu Gan's dagger blocked the knife, and a series of sparks flew in the air. The weapons in the two's hands clashed head-on, and the blades intersected. Hidden energy collided, and the true yuan collided. The veins on the two's arms popped out. Go Du Fei, Thunder Martial House will win. Lu Gan, kick him down. The victory belongs to our Lingyun Academy. Bang! After that, accompanied by a heavy explosion, a circle of scattered, true essence energy burst out from between the two of them. As Du Fei retreated with the short knife in his hand, a fierce fireball condensed in his palm. With a thought, he pushed the fireball out and attacked his opponent once again. Phoenix Rain Flame! Du Fei lightly shouted. Bang! In an instant, the fireball blossomed like fireworks, turning into a dozen or so fireballs about half a meter in diameter. The scorching heat waves filled the stage, and the faces of the people below the stage turned red from the heat. The dozen or so fireballs were like meteors. Many people below the stage were secretly shocked. They were afraid that this move would defeat Lingyun Academy's Lu Gan. Chapter 64. Phoenix Rain Flower. Following Du Fei's shout, the fireball that was flying towards Lu Qian suddenly blossomed. A dozen or so fireballs with a diameter of more than half a meter were like fiery stones flying from the sky, enveloping Lu Qian in a large area. Beautifully done, Du Fei! The Thunder Martial House newcomers excitedly exclaimed. Facing such a powerful attack, Lingyun Academy's Lu Gon disdainfully sneered. Surging true essence power was released, and in the next instant, a biting cold gust of wind followed. The airflow in the arena became chaotic in an instant. Under the astonished gazes of the audience, with Lu Gon at the center, more than a dozen condensed wind blades appeared. Every wind blade was light green in color, and they were as sharp as the shadow of a sword. Wind martial body? No wonder his speed is so fast. So it's the wind martial body. The crowd below the stage revealed looks of amazement on their faces. Whoosh! Under Lu Gon's control, the wind blades that lingered around his body tore through the air and collided head-on with the fireball that was flying towards him. The wind blades and the fireball collided. Boom! In an instant, the entire arena was set off in a meteor shower. The collisions of energy caused waves of hot air to spread out on the stage. Everyone's complexion was illuminated by the golden light. Chaotic quintessence rose up wantonly. It had to be said that the battle between Thunder Martial House's Du Fei and Lingyun Academy's Lu Gon was quite entertaining. Both of them were at the peak of the 9th level of the channel opening realm. Moreover, they were quite adept at using the power of their bloodline. As soon as the two sides clashed, it attracted the attention of the audience. These two fellows are really fierce. Mu Feng crossed his legs and leaned against the back of the chair. He didn't look like he was sitting at all. Li Hui secretly shook his head, sigh, although they are newcomers, they're still top young geniuses. Besides senior brother Chu Hen, I think our beauties can beat them. Who said that? Mu Feng replied unhappily. Believe it or not, this handsome Mu Feng can easily smash their balls. Bah, pervert. Zhou Lu's eyes widened as she glared at Mu Feng. Ahem, what did I say? I forgot. Mu Feng grinned mischievously and said. Chu Hen nonchalantly watched as sparks flew from Du Fei and Lu Qian's fight on the stage. As he watched, Chu Hen could sense different gazes from the other seating areas from time to time. There was a cold provocation. There were also slightly complicated ones. There was also playfulness and disdain. Chu Hen completely disregarded these peculiar gazes. The Star Elite competition had only just begun, and no one could say for sure what sort of show would unfold in the future. Boom! The first match on the arena grew increasingly intense. The spectators did not expect the first match to be so exciting. If this is all you've got, then I'm sorry to tell you that you can scram now. The Thunder Martial House's Du Fei sternly shouted. Lingyun Academy's Lu Qian was not to be outdone, coldly mocking. Don't be happy too early, or else you won't even know how you died. Don't flaunt the power of words. Oh. As soon as Du Fei finished speaking, the true Yuan within his body was completely mobilized. A scorching wave of air caused the surrounding air to faintly tremble, and a vigorous corporeal flame lingered on his arm. The restless and powerful energy undulations caused one's heart to palpitate. Lu Qian's eyes also focused, and he similarly released his true Yuan without holding back. In the blink of an eye, an azure wind blade over 2 meters wide immediately condensed in front of Lu Qian. A biting, cold, murderous aura spread out, and the chaotic airflow and scorching wave of air enveloped more than half of the arena. You can't beat me. Admit defeat. An idiot like you dares to say such words. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next instant, the wind blade that seemed to be a solid blade immediately swept out, and with the momentum of cutting through everything, it attacked Du Fei, who was in front of him. Almost at the same time, the move that Du Fei had condensed was also launched. A powerful aura stirred the airflow in all directions, and restless flames rose. A ferocious fire python quickly took shape and directly shot out from Du Fei's arm. The wind blade was swift and fierce, and its momentum was rapid. The fire python was ferocious and intimidating. Boom! A violent sound immediately exploded on the arena, and a scorching ball of fire soared into the sky. The disorderly wind blades scattered in all directions. 2 different colors of light spread out, and in an especially fierce collision, countless people below the arena frowned, and their faces revealed cautious expressions. In particular, the new geniuses of the Thunder Martial House and Lingyun Academy could not help but stand up. Boom! The ground suddenly trembled, and a circle of green and red intersecting air waves surged out from the arena. The powerful shock wave spread out like ripples on the surface of the water. Du Fei and Lu Gan, who were on the arena, could not dodge in time and were both thrown to the ground by the violent force. Bang! Bang! The sound of the two landing almost overlapped. Du Fei and Lu Gan both held their chests with their hands, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Moreover, it was difficult for them to climb back up from the ground. Both sides were injured, and there was no clear victor. Immediately, there was a commotion below the arena. Is it a draw? It seems so. That's not surprising. Both of their strengths are about the same. The first match between the Thunder Martial House and Lingyun Academy ended in a draw. Although the result was unexpected for many people, the intensity and excitement of the battle made most of them exclaim in satisfaction. The two academies each sent people to help Du Fei and Lu Gan off the arena. Immediately after, a young man dressed in black with an eagle emblem on his arm jumped onto the arena. It's Chung Deng from the Falcon Martial House. He's also a genius newcomer at the peak of the channel opening stage. If this continues, the newcomers below the channel opening stage won't be able to participate in the martial competition. It's better if there's no need. This is the place where the top newcomers compete. The moment Chung Deng of the Falcon Martial House came onto the arena, he turned his provocative gaze towards the area at the edge of the arena. Hey, Tensei Prefecture, who dares to come up and fight with me? Chung Deng? Naming Heavenly Star was a blatant provocation. Immediately after, the entire square of the Monarch or rival pavilion burst into cheers with malicious intentions. Haha, I remember last year, the newcomers from Tensei Prefecture were beaten to a pulp by the Falcon Martial House. And at that time, the newcomers from the Falcon Martial House said that as long as the people from Tensei Prefecture dared to appear here, they would be beaten to death. Looks like the Falcon Martial House really didn't forget about this. Tensei Prefecture is going to be unlucky again. Almost everyone present had a look of schadenfreude on their faces. When a wall is down, everyone gives it a push. When a person is down, rocks fall into the well. This saying wasn't wrong. Persimmons only picked the soft ones to pinch. It seemed like they wouldn't rest until they saw Tensei Prefecture being trampled into dregs. Hee hee. Ren Cheng of the Tifeng province had a cynical smile on his face. Yi looked on coldly from the side. She had some understanding of the history of Tensei Prefecture. To this day, everyone had long since treated the Heavenly Star Martial House as a joke. Yi Ao clenched her small fists and pursed her red lips. Her big eyes were filled with worry as she looked at Chu Han. According to the arrangement of the teams, it was obvious that the leader of the Tensei Prefecture was Chu Han. No matter what happened next, Chu Han would be the main target of Tensei Prefecture. What? No one from Tensei Prefecture dares to accept the challenge? Chung Deng pointed to the front in disdain. From the beginning, this Star Elite competition was filled with malice towards Tensei Prefecture. Even their seats were at the most remote corner. This was only the second round of competition, and the Falcon Martial House had already directly provoked them. This series of events caused the new students of Tensei Prefecture to be both angry and suffer a heavy blow. Since no one dares to accept the challenge, then what are you all still sitting here for? Hurry up and scram. Go back and wash up and sleep. The entire audience burst into laughter. Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others all turned their gazes towards the calm Chu Han. However, they saw that his face didn't have any fluctuations of emotion. His originally pitch-black eyes gradually became deep and cold. Scram your mother? Sleep your sister. Right at this moment, a ruffian's angry, scolding instantly suppressed the atmosphere. Mu Feng pointed at Chung Deng, who was on the arena, and said, "Did you eat too much garlic this morning? Why is your mouth so smelly? Is this your home? Do you think you can scram just because you say so?" The sudden scolding directly caused the atmosphere of the audience to become abnormally strange. Chung Deng's face was flushed red, and he shouted in a deep voice, "Bastard, if you have the ability, then don't randomly bark below the arena. If you have the ability, then come up and fight me. Seeing that there isn't even a single person in your Tensei prefecture who dares to stand up, why don't you just stay here to make up the numbers? Hee, let me ask you, has anyone here ever seen a grandfather really beat up his grandson when he is not obedient? As these words were spoken, the students of Tensei Prefecture immediately roared with laughter. You're absolutely right, senior brother Mufong. Ah, that's right. No matter how unfilial a grandson is, a grandfather can't bear to hit him. The people of Falcon Marshall House were so angry that their faces were flushed red. Chung Deng's lungs were about to explode. This is not the place to argue. If you have the ability, then come up and fight. Let me ask you again, who from Tensei Prefecture dares to fight? Senior brother Chu Hen. The people of Tensei Prefecture all turned to look at Chu Hen. Chu Hen slightly raised his eyelids, but before he moved, Li Hui said, Senior brother Chu Hen can't fight so early. Let me go. No, you're only at the 7th level of channel opening stage. You can't beat him. Zhou Lu said, I've already broken through. The family gave me an yuan bone pill, and I opened my 9th martial vein 3 days ago. That's still not enough. Zhou Lu shook her head. She knew that Chung Deng's strength had already reached the peak of the 9th level of channel opening stage. Li Hui, who had just broken through, was simply not his opponent. Chapter 65. Let me do it. Zhou Lu dissuaded Li Hui. But senior sister Zhou Lu, didn't you only open 8 martial veins before? Zhou Lu snorted coldly and replied with dissatisfaction. Even you have broken through to the 9th level of the channel opening realm. Do you think I will still be stagnant? Zhou Lu knew that Chu Hen was the central figure in this group from Tensei Prefecture. If he were to fight in the first battle, it would not be of much benefit to the Star Elite competition later on. You want to go? Chu Hen raised his eyes and looked at Zhou Lu as he said indifferently. Yes, no matter what, since I have already entered Heavenly Star, I am a member of Tensei Prefecture. No matter what, I should share a part of the responsibility. All the new students from Tensei Prefecture were startled. They could not help but clench their fists as their expressions changed. Sister, if you can't win, call your brother. Mu Feng said indifferently. The corner of Zhou Lu's mouth curled into a faint smile. She immediately walked towards the arena and leaped onto the stage like a nimble butterfly. It can't be. Letting a woman go up? This Tensei Prefecture is really getting worse year by year. They probably saw that senior brother Qing Deng doesn't hit women, so they want to use a honey trap. Ha! Don't make it a double loss. Senior brother Qing Deng, this little junior sister is not bad looking. Take her down, huh? Below the stage, the students from the various academies started to laugh with malicious intentions. Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute revealed an interested smile. It seems like Tensei Prefecture's luck has run out. They don't even have a worthy opponent. Are you looking down on women? Shu Shuiro said indifferently. Yang Yute hurriedly stopped. I'm just joking. Junior sister Shu, don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. Over at Tifeng Province, Ren Chong stroked his chin with his left hand and a cynical smile hung on his face. Junior sister Yiyu, it seems like your previous pursuer is more timid than I imagined. They actually sent a woman on stage. His smiling words were filled with sarcasm. At the side, Yao frowned slightly, looking slightly dissatisfied. Yiyu, on the other hand, was calm and unperturbed. Why bring up the past? That's right. I promise you that a despicable person like him will never appear in your sight again. Rinchang's playful smile was filled with a heart-palpitating chill. Yao couldn't help but clench her fists. Her heart was filled with unease. She had a feeling that something unusual would happen today. On the other hand, Liang Yiming, who was sitting on the other side, secretly shook his head. It seemed that Chu Hen was doomed today. He could only hope that the other party would stay below the stage. On the martial arena, this junior sister, you should go down. If I accidentally hurt you, it won't be good. Falcon Martial House's Chung Deng's eyes revealed a hint of pride. Stop putting on an act in front of this grandaunt. Die. Xing. The crisp sound of metal caused everyone's heartstrings to tremble. A light and beautiful sword appeared in Zhou Lu's hand. Zhou Lu held her sword and attacked. Streaks of sharp sword chi shot out like light and shadow, moving upward with the momentum. Not bad. You have some skill. Cheng Deng's face revealed a relaxed expression. Surging true essence was released and condensed between his hands. He used his bare hands to block Zhou Lu's sword. Senior sister Zhou Lu, you can do it. Teach him a lesson. Senior brother Cheng Deng, go easy. Otherwise, it won't be good for you to be known as a bully. Haha, that's right. Tensei Prefecture and Falcon Martial House were both cheering for Zhou Lu and Cheng Deng. However, it was clear that Falcon Martial House's momentum far surpassed Heavenly Star Martial House's. Not to mention the disparity in numbers, even their momentum was not on the same level. Zhou Lu's sword momentum was light and extremely fast. The dazzling sword light was like a flowing shadow, dazzling the eyes. Under her continuous attacks, her opponent, Cheng Deng, actually began to switch from offense to defense. He retreated and dodged to meet his opponent. Senior sister Zhou Lu is good. Li Hui, who was below the stage, could not help but clench his fists and secretly applaud. If this continues, we will definitely win. The other new disciples also saw the hope of victory. I didn't expect this girl to have some tricks up her sleeve. Mu Feng sat with his legs crossed, with an indecent look. Chu Hen's eyes slightly narrowed. While he acknowledged the smoothness of Zhou Lu's swordsmanship, he did not think highly of her like the others. If Zhou Lu could maintain this state, she would naturally win. However, the problem was that she could not maintain this fast rhythm for a long time. Once her speed could not keep up, her opponent would instantly seize the opportunity to counterattack. Just as Chu Hen thought, after about half the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Zhou Lu's rhythm began to slow down. There's a flaw. Cheng Deng smiled proudly. Taking advantage of the time, when Zhou Lu had not yet recovered her strength, he sidestepped and dodged his opponent's stab. He turned his hand into a palm and slapped towards his opponent's waist. Senior sister, be careful, Li Hui shouted. Zhou Lu's pretty face changed slightly. She hurriedly retreated and dodged. At the same time, she brandished her sharp sword. 5 sword flowers burst out in a row and attacked her opponent's chest. In the process of moving, the 5 sword flowers arranged into a wreath. From afar, it looked like a gorgeous winter plum blooming, full of cold and fierce aura. This attack was quite powerful. However, Cheng Deng was already prepared. With a sneer, the surging quintessential chi rapidly gathered at the center of his palm. Along with a strong gust of wind, a ball of black light erupted from his palm. Screech, a loud and clear eagle cry reverberated from the stage. Cheng Deng let out a loud shout and pushed out his palms. An eagle phantom suddenly appeared and rushed towards Zhou Lu with an unstoppable force. Boom! The collision of the true essence was like a thunderstorm. The 5 sword flowers that Zhou Lu had displayed were shattered in an instant, and countless fragments were wantonly fluttering in the air. In the next moment, the powerful attack that was comparable to a torrent directly hit Zhou Lu. Bang! A circle of chaotic, true origin power swept out. Zhou Lu's delicate body trembled and directly fell on the platform. The sword in her hand fell to the ground, and a trace of red blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. The battle was over in an instant. Senior sister, Li Hui and a few other students from Tensei Prefecture rushed to the platform to check on Zhou Lu's condition. I'm fine. Zhou Lu lightly covered her undulating chest. Her pretty face was faintly pale. Junior sister, I haven't used my strength yet. Why did you fall? Cheng Deng sneered with a playful face. You? Li Hui and the others glared at him angrily. Below the platform, the people from the various academies were gloating and laughing mockingly. You still want to participate in the Star Elite battle with this kind of standard? Hurry up and get lost. I advise you people from Tensei Prefecture not to come anymore. I strongly request the Sovereign Arrival Pavilion to cross off the name list of Tensei Prefecture. Chapter 66. Oomph. What are you being so arrogant for? While the Heavenly Star Marshall House was being ridiculed by countless people, Mu Feng had unknowingly leapt onto the stage. He pointed at Cheng Deng, who was in front of him, and opened his mouth to curse. That little chicken Marshall House guy, you actually hit a woman? Today, this handsome Feng is going to break your balls. Even the new students in Tensei Prefecture shook their heads when they heard the vulgarities. Not only did this fellow like to spout nonsense in front of his own people, he even spouted nonsense in such an occasion. It seemed that he really had a personality problem. The Falcon Marshall House's Cheng Deng sneered in disdain. He crossed his arms in front of him and looked at Mu Feng with disdain. "Heh, I thought you only knew how to bark from below the stage. I didn't expect you to actually dare to come up on stage. You can take this opportunity to say a few more words, because I'm going to smash your mouth full of dog teeth with one punch. Io, you unfilial son of a bitch, you dare to scold me? Do you have any manners?" Manners? Upon hearing these two words, the people of the Heavenly Star Marshall House were once again filled with black lines. Li Hui and the other rookies hurriedly helped Zhou Lu out of the arena. It was as though standing with Mu Feng for a few more seconds was embarrassing. "Senior brother Mu Feng, take care. We'll go and cheer for you below the stage." Leave it to me." Mu Feng grinned. His maniacal smile unconsciously caused his opponent's hair to stand on end. "Cut the crap. Senior brother Cheng Deng, break this thing's teeth. Let him like to talk nonsense. Kill him." Everyone from the Falcon Marshall House was cheering loudly, but the people from the Heavenly Star Marshall House were much quieter. They had suffered one blow after another, and it had caused everyone's mood to become gloomy and frustrated. Chu Hen's eyes were filled with an inexplicable expectation. From the very beginning, Mu Feng had not revealed his true strength. Since he dared to step onto the arena, it meant that he was not afraid of Cheng Deng, who was at the peak of the channel opening stage. It's about to begin. Pay attention. Even I'm afraid of myself when I unleash my power, Mu Feng said as he stretched out his arms and legs, stretching his muscles and bones on the platform. Seeing his comical appearance, the new geniuses from the high-ranked martial houses all sneered. On the other hand, the people in Tensei Prefecture had completely lost hope. They all secretly thought that coming here tonight was simply a mistake. Cheng Deng sneered and looked at Mu Feng, who was slowly approaching him, disapprovingly. "What an idiot. It seems that only a bottom-tier place like Tensei Prefecture would want a fool like you." Mu Feng wasn't angry. When he was less than 5 meters away from the other party, he suddenly pointed to the sky. "Wow, there was a naked woman. It's going to hit your head." Cheng Deng was startled. He subconsciously looked up at the sky, but there was nothing. He instantly understood that he had been tricked, but when he shifted his gaze back, Mu Feng had already rushed in front of the other party. "Haha, you fool. You actually fell for this?" Before he finished speaking, Mu Feng raised his right leg and kicked Cheng Deng's crotch. Bang! The dull sound caused the entire Monarch Arrival Pavilion to fall into silence. All the men immediately felt a chill run down their spines. Cheng Deng's body was arched, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. His face instantly became distorted due to the pain, and he couldn't even speak. Haha, I said I would break your balls." Mu Feng's sinister smile was especially terrifying in Cheng Deng's eyes. Cheng Deng, who had been hit in his weak spot, felt his legs go weak, let alone condense true origin energy. Everyone below the arena was dumbfounded. Especially the people from Tensei Prefecture, the corners of their mouths could not help but twitch a few times. My goodness, Mu Feng, am really capable of doing such a thing. Moreover, he did it in front of so many people. At this moment, there was only one thought in the minds of the people from Tensei Prefecture, and that was to stay away from Mu Feng in the future. They absolutely had to keep their distance. I'll remember this. If you dare to provoke Tensei Prefecture again, this handsome Feng will tear down your nest, sleep with your wife, and beat up your mother. Get off the stage yourself, Mu Feng said as he flicked his hair in what he thought was a cool and unrestrained manner. Cheng Deng was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. At this moment, He really wanted to drag Mu Feng off the stage and beat him up for half an hour. However, the pain caused by that kick was enough to make him completely lose the ability to fight in a short period of time. Helpless, Chung Deng could only suppress his anger and limp down from the stage in a dejected manner. Boom! In the next instant, the atmosphere in the arena exploded. F***, what is this? He's too shameless. Shameless thing, get off the stage. This is too despicable. Manager Yao, chase this kind of person out. All sorts of curses could be heard from all directions. The angry voices seemed to want to drown Mu Feng at any moment, especially the new disciples of the Falcon Martial House. One by one, they stood up from their seats, and all they wanted to do was to rush up to Mu Feng and beat him up. However, Mu Feng's skin was so thick that it could be said that it was invulnerable. He did not feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he said with a hint of dissatisfaction, "Can you guys be reasonable? Did the rules say that I can't use the ending of Descendant's Kick? Moreover, this handsome Feng didn't really turn him into a woman. If he can't have children in the future, I'll just help him." Mu Feng had a self-righteous look on his face. Even the people from the Heavenly Star Martial House felt ashamed. This kind of despicable thing is just asking to be taught a lesson. A voice filled with disdain and ridicule rang out from the Bright Moon Martial House's area. Shortly after, a young man with a rather heroic aura steadily walked towards the arena in front of him. It's Senior He Xian. Senior He Xian is going to make a move. Looks like even he can't stand that despicable idiot. Sure enough, he has aroused public anger. Let's see how unlucky he is this time. He Xian's appearance caused the atmosphere in the arena to become a little more restless. One was He Xian, and the other was He Chao. These two brothers were highly regarded and liked by the senior instructors of the Bright Moon Martial House. Under the gaze of the surrounding people, He Xian directly stepped onto the arena. At the same time, a sharp sword force was released from his body, and the dust particles on the arena were blown away. Elemental opening stage? He Xian's strength improved so quickly. Geniuses with the spiritual sword battle physique are indeed extraordinary. If that's the case, He Chao's strength must have improved greatly. The crowd discussed in low voices, and many people's gazes subconsciously turned to He Chao, who was still in the Bright Moon Martial House area. He Chao had a smile on his face, and he was pleased with himself. He glanced at the Tensei Prefecture's Chu Hen with a mocking gaze, and his eyes were full of contempt and disdain. Chu Hen's attention was on the arena. After 2 months, He Xian had actually broken through to the elemental opening stage. Coupled with the strength of the spiritual sword battle physique, this caused the people of the Tensei Prefecture to feel nervous for Mu Feng. Make your move. He Xian looked coldly at Mu Feng in front of him. Hey, are you trying to scare me? Mu Feng squinted his eyes and tilted his head, looking like he did not care about his opponent at all. If you don't make your move, then I'll make my move first. But don't blame me for not warning you. Once I make my move, you won't have any chance to counterattack. Ha ha, you're bragging so much. Aren't you afraid of killing yourself? You're courting death. A cold light flashed in He Xian's eyes. Together with the surging aura of the elemental opening stage, a sharp sword aura was released. In an instant, he rushed to the front of Mu Feng. One of his hands turned into a palm blade, and he slashed at Mu Feng's throat. The powerful true origin energy turned into a wisp of sword aura and attached to his palm blade. Such a sharp attack was not the least bit inferior to the sharp sword aura. Not good. Senior brother Mu Feng can't dodge it. Li Hui clenched his fists anxiously and frowned. He Xian's speed was so fast that it made people dumbfounded. However, Mu Feng stood still, unable to dodge. The people below the arena, who were waiting to see the Tensei Prefecture make a fool of themselves, looked at him with disdain. He would be finished in one move. Rumble. A ring of oppressive wind suddenly reverberated from the arena. The aura that He Xian emitted seemed to have hit an iron plate, and it was suddenly suppressed. The people below the arena could not help but narrow their eyes. The scene of Mu Feng being defeated in one move did not happen. They only saw He Xian's palm blade stop at a position less than 10 centimeters away from Mu Feng's neck. Mu Feng's left hand accurately grabbed He Xian's wrist, causing him to be unable to move. He blocked it. Not only were the new and talented disciples of the various martial houses stunned, even the people of the Tensei prefecture revealed astonished expressions. Mu Feng was actually able to block the attack of He Xian, who was only at the first level of the elemental opening stage. Looking at Mu Feng's current expression, there was not a single trace of indecency. Between his firm brows, there was a sharp aura surging. I was wondering what kind of powerful person he was. So he's only at this level? Don't be too proud. He Xian's eyebrows were tightly knitted together, and the flames of anger rose up. With a thought, surging true origin energy burst out and fiercely shook off Mu Feng's arm. Then, he raised his palm and threw it towards Mu Feng's face. Mu Feng squinted his eyes slightly and fearlessly raised his palm to meet the attack. Bang! The two palms collided with each other, and a circle of chaotic, true essence power exploded. He Xian took a few steps back, and with a wave of his palm, a sharp 3-foot-long sword appeared in his hand. He immediately raised the sword and attacked fiercely, continuously attacking various vital points on Mu Feng's body. Mu Feng laughed coldly. As he dodged to the side, a restless white light quickly climbed up his right hand. Buzz, buzz. In an instant, Mu Feng's right hand seemed to be soaked in the essence of the moonlight, and a thin white afterglow lingered around it. Mu Feng extended his index finger, and a condensed white light flew out from his fingertip. Chapter 67. Swoosh! A condensed white beam of light shot out from Mu Feng's fingertip. It was as sharp as a shooting star as it flew across the sky and headed straight for He Xian's chest. No one had expected such a sudden turn of events. Previously, in everyone's eyes, Mu Feng was an idiot. Moreover, he was a shameless idiot. He probably didn't have any skills, but he had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. However, just now, not only did Mu Feng block He Xian's attack head-on, he even launched such a swift and violent counterattack. It was truly surprising. He Xian's eyes turned cold. His long sword trembled and instantly transformed into a sharp sword shadow that clashed head-on with a white beam of light. Bang! The violent collision of forces caused scattered True Yuan to scatter wantonly on the stage. A chaotic gale swept across the stage, and the sound of waves could be heard in the air. Against Mu Feng, He Xian, who was at the first level of the natal opening realm, was actually unable to gain any advantage. Is this what you meant by, I have no chance to counterattack? Mu Feng mocked disdainfully. He Xian was extremely annoyed. The sharp and dazzling sword light quickly climbed up the body of his sword, and a cold and harsh murderous aura spread out from the arena. I've underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be so good at pretending to be a fool. I've never been a fool. That's just what you think. Just as he finished speaking, Mu Feng took a step forward. His nimble footwork gave rise to an imposing aura that was not any weaker than his opponent's. One after another, white beams of light shot out from Mu Feng's fingers. Every single beam of light was filled with a power that caused people's hearts to palpitate. He Xian didn't dare to underestimate Mu Feng anymore. He continuously transformed into dazzling sword chi to face his opponent. In an instant, the wind on the arena became chaotic. The confrontation between the two caused the airflow in all directions to become turbulent. How can Senior Mu Feng be so powerful? Below the arena, Li Hui's eyes were wide open and his face was filled with astonishment. Zhou Lu's eyes were wide open, and her eyebrows were full of surprise. From the beginning to the end, Mu Feng had been playing the fool. He had been waiting for this moment to play the pig to eat the tiger. Senior brother Chu Hen, did you already know Senior brother Mu Feng's true strength? A new student from Tensei Prefecture asked. Chu Hen shook his head, indicating that he didn't know either. However, Chu Hen didn't think that Mu Feng was pretending to be crazy before. His usual comical personality couldn't be faked. It could only be said that he dealt with things differently. The power of the demon, Chu Hen shouted, and a strange power began to circulate in his body. Along with a wave of scorching heat, a faint purple radiance surged within Chu Hen's pair of pupils. There was a burst of visual distortion, and in an instant, the flow of the true essence of the two people on the arena immediately appeared in Chu Hen's mind. That is, the corner of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and a trace of surprise flashed on his handsome face. With the power of the demon eye, Chu Hen could clearly see that the white light beam that Mu Feng displayed was not an ordinary move that was condensed from true essence. It was similar to the shadow of a sword's shadow wrapped in white light. Moreover, there was no sword in Mu Feng's palm at all. He used his fingers as a sword, an invisible sword. Buzz, buzz. Chu Hen retracted the power of the demon eye, and his pupils returned to a deep, normal color. Mu Feng wasn't an ordinary person. Chu Hen heaved a sigh of relief, and there was some confusion between his brows. He couldn't help but shake his head and pondered. An ordinary person couldn't display this invisible sword shadow at all. It seemed that there was an unknown secret behind Mu Feng. Of course, Chu Hen was just curious about it. No matter who Mu Feng was, it wouldn't affect the relationship between the two of them. After all, from the beginning until now, Mu Feng had never done anything to hurt Chu Hen. Moreover, everyone had their own secrets. Take Chu Hen, for example. He also had a shocking secret that he couldn't tell anyone. I didn't expect that Tensei Prefecture could recruit such a talent. In the Tifeng province area, Rinchong looked at the battle on the arena playfully. He should be the strongest newcomer in Tensei Prefecture this year. A young man said casually. Is that so? Rinchong was surprised. He looked at Yi Yu beside him and said with a frivolous smile, if that's the case, it'll be too boring. I was hoping that someone could take more than 10 moves from me. Yi Yu's expression didn't change, and she replied calmly, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Someone doesn't have that ability. Hee hee. Rinchong laughed without saying anything. The battle on the arena was getting more and more intense. The white light beam and the sharp sword shadow kept colliding, and the arena was already full of holes. Rocks were flying everywhere, and dust was flying. Hsien and Mu Feng kept fighting fiercely. On the surface, Hsien had more or less the upper hand. However, compared to Mu Feng, Hsien had the advantage of having an additional weapon. Boom! A violent shock wave exploded between the two of them, and the two of them quickly retreated. Buzz! At the same time, a strong white light burst out from Mu Feng's body, and the violent energy fluctuations caused the surrounding air to become chaotic. The spectators below the stage could clearly see the surging true origin power quickly gathering in Mu Feng's hands. Moreover, it gathered at the tips of his 10 fingers. The astonishing power was rapidly agitated and restless. See if I don't torture you like a dog. Swoosh, swoosh. Before his voice faded, Mu Feng spread out his 10 fingers. Accompanied by a series of trembling sounds in the air, a solid white light beam flew out from the fingertips of his 10 fingers. The solid white light beam dragged a nearly transparent air wave in the air, sweeping towards Hsien from different angles. The piercingly cold aura was comparable to an arrow released from a bow. Unstoppable. Good. Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other newcomers of Tensei Prefecture secretly cheered. The newcomers and geniuses of the other martial houses were all shocked. Hsien's slightly shrunken pupils reflected the 10 piercingly cold light beams that were flying towards him. In the next instant, the true essence of the first level of the element opening stage was released from his body without reservation. Hsien held his sword horizontally in front of him, and dozens of thick sword chi rapidly revolved around the blade. Accompanied by a trembling sound, the surging sword chi immediately condensed into a wide, illusory sword in front of Hsien. Do you think you can hurt me with this little bit of ability? Sword chi shield. Boom! 10 white light beams continuously attacked the illusory sword in front of Hsien, and the ferocious impact was like a huge boulder that came crashing down one after another. Under the astonished gazes of the thousands of people present, the 10 white light beams exploded with a dazzling light. With Hsien at the center, the air constantly emitted the sound of rushing wind. Bang! The illusory sword in front of Hsien was instantly shattered, and the surging attack swept down like a surging tide. The moment the 10 white light beams attacked Hsien's body, they astonishingly transformed into 10 illusory and transparent illusory sword chi. What was going on? Many people below the stage could not help but stand up from their seats, expressions of shock surging on their faces. The white light beams actually contained illusory sword chi. How did Mu Feng do it? Before the crowd could recover from their shock, the 10 illusory swords had already landed on Hsien's body. In an instant, 10 bloody gashes appeared on Hsien's clothes. A sharp pain spread throughout his body, and the flames of endless anger rose. Bastard, I will tear you into 1,000 pieces. The 10 white light beams did not harm Hsien's vitals, but they made him look extremely miserable. Hsien was burning with rage, his eyes filled with killing intent towards Mu Feng. However, just as he was about to explode with rage, Mu Feng made a decision that no one expected. Stop! I'm not fighting anymore. Victory is yours. Not fighting anymore? Everyone in the audience was stunned. What was he trying to do now? Bastard, the outcome hasn't been decided yet. Don't you dare get off the stage. Hsien was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. Hee, why do you care? Mu Feng had a "what can you do to me" expression on his face. He immediately jumped off the stage without hesitation, then swaggered back to the Tensei prefecture area. The sudden change of events caused everyone present to be unable to recover from their shock. Everything was fine, but he suddenly stopped fighting. What the hell was Mu Feng doing? What's going on? Is he afraid of death? Who knows? He stopped halfway through the fight. What a scam. The audience was in a constant uproar, and Hsien, who was in the arena, was really exasperated. This kind of victory was no different from a defeat. Mu Feng injured Hsien and then admitted defeat. This was obviously not giving Hsien a chance to take revenge. Not only was Hsien livid, but even the people from the Bright Moon Academy were extremely depressed. Senior brother Mu Feng, why did you stop fighting? You can win. Li Hui asked, still confused. Mu Feng smiled disapprovingly. I think it's about time. There's no need to continue fighting. You're afraid that you might accidentally kill him, right? Chu Hen's indifferent voice followed. Mu Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. He received the deep meaning in Chu Hen's eyes, but he only smiled and did not say anything. This round of competition inexplicably ended. Hsien still remained in the arena, obviously intending to continue fighting. However, looking at Hsien's gloomy and ashen face, none of the high-ranked martial houses below the stage dared to step up. Everyone knew that Hsien was in a fit of rage right now. He would definitely vent all of his anger on his next opponent. Who would dare to provoke him if they didn't have the ability? At this moment, a tall and lithe figure walked out from the giant elephant martial house's team and directly flashed onto the arena. Everyone's eyes lit up. Chapter 68. It's Yu Qinyu, looking at the tall, slender, and elegant figure that ascended the martial arena. The eyes of the audience couldn't help but brighten. The male students of the various high-ranked martial houses began to lose their calm. Miss Qinyu, you can do it. Senior Qinyu, we support you. It had to be said that as one of the 6 pearls of the imperial city, Yu Qinyu's popularity was really high. The audience immediately burst into an uproar of cheers and shouts. Yi Yu, who was in the Tifeng province's seating area, could not help but frown. A strange look appeared in her eyes. Miss Qinyu, nice to meet you. Hsien's voice was slightly cold, and his face was slightly dark and green. The fight with Mu Feng just now had caused him to have a bellyful of anger. Yu Qinyu's palm moved, a dazzling white light flashed, and a sword appeared in her slender white hand. The sword was more than 3 feet long and was inlaid with exquisite gems. There was a faint metallic sound in the air. It was obviously not an ordinary weapon. Make your move. Yu Qinyu's red lips moved slightly. Her beautiful face was calm without a single ripple. Hsien's eyes flashed coldly and a fierce aura exploded from his body. Miss Jinyu, I'm sorry, whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Xian rushed forward like a gust of wind. Surging true essence flowed along his right hand and extended towards the sword in his hand. The light was bright and dazzling. Facing the menacing Xian, Yu Qinyu stood motionlessly in place. The crowd below the stage were all confused, wondering what was wrong with Yu Qinyu. Hey, Miss Qinyu, are you scared, silly? Xian sneered. The sword in his hand released a dazzling golden light. The wind howled, and the sharp shadow of the sword pierced through the air towards Yu Qinyu. The speed of the sword was extremely fast and extremely cold. However, when Xian was less than 2 meters away from Yu Qinyu, a circle of jade-green light suddenly appeared from within Yu Qinyu's body. Yu Qinyu's beautiful eyes focused. Her red lips opened slightly, and she said in a soft voice, "Spirit vine trap." Boom! Rubble flew everywhere, and the stone bricks on the table suddenly burst open. A green vine instantly rushed out from the ground, and with lightning speed, it wrapped around Xian's right wrist. Whoosh! Xian's sword momentum was stopped in an instant, and the sharp sword in his hand stopped in midair. The edge of the sword was emitting a dazzling light, but it was unable to advance any further. This is Miss Qinyu's ancient tree combat constitution. Everyone below the arena widened their eyes as shock surged in their eyes. Xian's expression changed even more, and he hurriedly switched his attack, switching the sharp sword in his right hand to his left hand. However, Yu Qinyu clearly did not want to give her opponent any chance to counterattack. Bang! Yu Qinyu spun around agilely. Her soft and delicate body drew a beautiful arc in the air as she kicked her opponent's chin. Caught off guard, Xian flew out along with his sword. He rolled a few times on the table before coming to a stop. The battle quietly ended. Seeing Xian lying on the ground, unable to get up, the audience burst into thunderous applause. Beautiful, senior sister Qinyu is too powerful. Simply perfect, haha. The genius students of the giant elephant martial house were all in jubilation. Even Chu Hen, who was in the Tensei prefecture, could not help but show some surprise. Compared to 2 months ago, Yu Qinyu's strength had greatly improved. However, this was not strange. In such a big imperial city, there were all kinds of monstrous geniuses. Wow. I didn't expect Miss Qinyu to be so powerful. Little Feng, have decided she will be my first target in the future. Sigh, senior brother Mu Feng. Can you be normal for a while? Li Hui, who was at the side, sighed. Damn, how is this handsome Feng abnormal? You guys are abnormal. Xian was helped off the stage by a few new students of the Bright Moon Academy. In next to no time, another young man ascended the arena. Azure River Martial House, Changhui. I hope senior sister Qinyu can spar with me. Let's begin. Senior sister Qinyu, be careful. The arena, which had just stopped for a short while, was once again filled with an intense battle. The sword in Yu Qinyu's hand was surrounded by a gentle green light, as if it was extracted from the essence of wood. Yu Qinyu's swordsmanship was not ordinary. Combined with the power of the ancient tree battle physique, she immediately gained the upper hand. Bang! Together with a powerful sword shadow that cut through the air, Chang Hui of the Azure River Martial House was directly struck off the stage. In less than half a cup of tea's time, Yu Qinyu had easily obtained 2 consecutive victories. There was no doubt that it was exciting. Not only the students of the giant elephant martial house, but even the supporters of the other martial houses were cheering for Yu Qinyu. Blue Maple Academy, Song Si. I hope, senior sister, you can give me a pointer or two. Time passed by minute. The atmosphere of the entire Monarch Arrival Pavilion became more and more lively. The momentum of the people on the arena continued to rise. In the following period of time, Yu Qinyu could be said to be shining brightly. In a row of 5 matches, the 5 genius students of different martial houses were all defeated by Yu Qinyu. All of them were defeated by Yu Qinyu. The audience could clearly see that every one of Yu Qinyu's opponents had reached the elemental opening realm. Moreover, they fought with all their strength, and no one deliberately went easy on her. Senior sister Qinyu is indeed amazing. I heard that after the giant elephant martial house's assessment, Miss Chinyu was greatly stimulated. In the following 2 months, she would practically practice her swordsmanship for more than 6 hours every day. Is that so? What stimulated her? During the assessment, she was almost injured by the scale-armored bear. This has always left her with a grudge. Apart from Rin Chong of Tifeng Province, Yang Yute of Imperial Martial School, and a few others whose expressions did not change, everyone else had a look of amazement on their faces. Would Soul's sword slash? Along with a cold shout, an incomparably powerful sword light turned into a circle of rising tide that swept forward. Boom! A powerful aura leaked out from Yu Qinyu's body. The vigorous sword chi swept across half of the arena, and like a raging tide, it struck the body of a young man in front of her. In the next moment, under the excited gazes of the audience, that person was directly blasted off the arena. Boom! Immediately after, the atmosphere of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion once again rose to an unprecedented height, and all sorts of jubilant shouts rose and fell. 6 consecutive victories. Beautiful. Congratulations, Senior Sister Chinyu, for obtaining 6 consecutive victories. Listening to the surrounding cheers, Ren Chong, who was in the Tifeng province area, rubbed his chin and said with a frivolous smile, We've been playing around for so long, it's about time. Chapter 69. Beautiful, 6 wins in a row. Congratulations, Senior Sister Chinyu, for her 6th win in a row. Starting from defeating He Xian, Yu Chinyu had won 6 matches in a row. She was not inferior to any man, and had won all 6 matches. This caused countless people present to exclaim in admiration. The audience burst into enthusiastic applause, especially the new disciples of the Mammoth Martial House. They were happy for Yu Qinyu's perfect performance. Yu Qinyu stood on the stage, dazzling like the stars in the sky. Her beautiful eyes twinkled as she looked at the seating area of the Tensei Prefecture with a faint smile. Look at me, Miss Chinyu is looking at me. Mu Feng cheerfully waved his hand and stood on his tiptoes. Li Hui shook his head and sighed. AI. Thinking too much is also a problem. Receiving Yu Qinyu's slightly proud gaze, Chu Hen could not help but reveal a faint smile on his face. In these 2 months, Yu Qinyu's strength had indeed increased by a lot. Chu Hen was also happy for her. Junior Sister Qinyu's strength is amazing. I am Ling Chong. I hope Junior Sister will not be stingy with your guidance. A frivolous and playful voice came from the direction of the Mammoth Martial House. Everyone was startled, and their gazes swept towards the young figure walking towards the stage. The other party was tall and sturdy. His appearance was ordinary, but he exuded a heroic aura. The Mammoth Martial House finally can't help but make a move. Ling Chang's strength is quite good. Yu Qinyu's winning streak is definitely going to end. There's no doubt about it. Ling Chang's appearance caused the atmosphere of the audience to become much more restless. The new disciples of the Mammoth Martial House could not help but secretly worry for Yu Qinyu. Under everyone's gazes, Ling Chong stepped onto the stage. An invisible pressure was released from his body, and the dust around his feet flew into the air. Junior Sister Chinyu, please. Ling Chong slightly raised his left arm and made a gesture of invitation. However, Yu Qinyu had no intention of fighting. She raised her eyebrows and pouted her lips. She shook her head and said, I'm done. I'm dying of exhaustion. You win. The crowd burst into an uproar as soon as he said that. Indeed, he had fought 6 battles in a row, and all of them were opponents whose cultivation levels were not lower than his. Yu Qinyu had already used up all of the true yuan in his body, not to mention Ling Chong, who was stronger than her. Even if it was another opponent who was weaker than her, Yu Qinyu would not necessarily continue to fight. Immediately, Yu Qinyu nimbly and gracefully descended from the arena and returned to the giant elephant martial house's seating area. No one felt that there was anything wrong with Yu Qinyu's actions. On the contrary, her intelligence and personality of not being obsessed with winning or losing made people appreciate her even more. Since Junior Sister Chan Yu has chosen to forfeit, who is willing to come up and fight me? Forfeit, willing, Ling Chang's choice of words could be considered modest, but his tone wasn't. A proud expression appeared on his face. This was a provocation that seemed low-key, but was actually arrogant. Everyone's eyes unconsciously swept over Ren Chong, Yang Yute, Shu Shuuro, He Chao, and the other geniuses as the leader of the continent's martial house's new disciples. Ling Chang's strength naturally did not need to be mentioned. The only ones that could be compared to him were the top geniuses of the other four most famous high-ranked martial houses. Haha, it's been a small fight for so long, it's time to end it. An indifferent chuckle entered everyone's ears from the Emperor Wind martial house's seating area, causing everyone's eyes to light up. It's senior brother Ren Chong. After waiting for so long, it's finally his turn. What comes next is the truly wonderful moment. The king of Tifeng province's newcomers, Ren Chong. As soon as he appeared, the entire audience's atmosphere immediately surged. This was what it meant to be extremely popular and popular. Under the cheers of the audience, Ren Chong stepped onto the arena. His eyebrows were full of frivolity, and he ridiculed with disdain. Do you want to go down now, or do you want me to send you down later? It was also a provocation, but his words were filled with arrogance. Even so, no one present felt that Ren Chong was in any way wrong. Looking at the entire audience, in the entire star competition, only Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute and Shu Shuuro were qualified to be looked at by Ren Chong. Ling Chong frowned when he felt the shapeless pressure emitted from Ren Chong's body. His face sank slightly as he laughed coldly. Ha! It's rare for me to have a chance to compete with senior brother Ren Chong on the same stage. How can I miss such a good opportunity? So, Ren Chong's face was still full of playfulness. So, I asked senior brother Ren Chong to give me some pointers. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, a black saber appeared in Ling Chang's hand. The saber was over 3 feet long, and the blade was like a ray of light, emitting a biting cold and domineering aura. Along with it, a powerful aura suddenly erupted from Ling Chang's body. The raging aura was like that of a ferocious beast. Senior brother Ren Chong, be careful, Ling Chong shouted, and a surging aura surged towards Ren Chong, who was in front of him. When the distance between him and Ren Chong was less than 5 meters, Ling Chong leapt up. His hands gripped the saber hilt, and he raised it high above his head, chopping down at Ren Chong's head with the force of splitting a mountain. Buzz! Waves of air trembled on the martial stage. Thick true essence surged out from Ling Chang's body and rapidly gathered on the saber blade. Circles of clearly visible black light lingered around the saber blade like soft ripples of water. Ling Chang's attack had an astonishing aura that seemed as if it would cut Ren Chong in half. Ren Chong can't dodge. Senior brother Ling Chong has taken the initiative. A genius disciple of the Spirit Rhino Martial House clenched his fists, his face filled with excitement. You've lost. Ling Chang's eyes were filled with a fierce light. Haha, that's not necessarily true. Ren Chong's mouth curved in a disdainful smile. Just a second before Ling Chang's attack fell, a chain shrouded in golden light suddenly burst out from Ren Chong's sleeves. Swish! The iron chain that was as thick as an arm traversed through the air, and it directly blocked in front of Ling Chong like a chain that crossed a river. Bang! The saber in Ling Chang's hand firmly chopped down on the iron chain, and a string of sparks splashed out. The sky above the martial stage seemed to slightly tremble, and the shocking collision of strength shocked the entire audience. At the point where the saber and the iron chain met, a layer of material air waves spread out like ripples on water. A chaotic strong wind raged, and sand and stones flew about on the stage. However, the might of Ling Chang's tyrannical rage was actually completely blocked by the iron chain that traversed in front of him. The iron chain trembled violently without end, and it was like a poisonous snake that twisted its body. Is this the soul lock battle physique that was passed down in the Ren clan? It's really amazing. A cry of surprise sounded out from the crowd below the stage. The soul lock battle physique's full name was the soul assimilating lock physique. This was the bloodline limit that was passed down in the Ren clan. This bloodline limit was capable of both offense and defense, and it was ever-changing. It could be used in both close combat and long-range attacks. Rinchong had once relied on the strength of the soul-lock battle physique to challenge opponents of a higher cultivation than him, and he was undefeated. Boom! Without waiting for the audience to recover from their shock, a mocking smile appeared on Rinchong's face once again, accompanied by an even more violent fluctuation of power. Another golden iron chain shot out from Rinchong's left sleeve. The swift and powerful iron chain was nimble like a poisonous snake that had launched an attack. It flew out and swept horizontally towards Ling Chong. At this moment, Ling Chong didn't even have a foothold in the air. With the iron chain blocking in front of him, he couldn't advance or retreat. Moreover, Rinchong didn't give his opponent the slightest time to react. Pung! The cold and hard iron chain solidly smashed into Ling Chang's chest, and the incomparably heavy impact was comparable to the impact of a mountain. Ling Chang's tiger body violently trembled, and his blood surged up. A large mouthful of blood immediately gushed out from his mouth. What? Everyone below the stage paled, especially the new disciples of Spirit Rhino Martial House. All of them stared with wide eyes. Ling Chong couldn't even withstand a single move from Rinchong. The golden iron chain directly flung Ling Chong away. Victory had obviously been decided, but Rinchong still didn't have any intention of stopping. He lifted his hands, and the two iron chains that he controlled moved upwards. Xiao! The two iron chains crossed the air, extending 5 to 6 meters in length. One in front and one behind, they sealed off Ling Chang's retreat. Iron chains crossing the river, unable to advance or retreat. This was Ling Chang's current situation. Hee, after challenging me, you still have to pay a price. Rinchong smirked and said. Ling Chang's pupils shrank, and his face instantly turned deathly white. No! Pung pung! Two muffled sounds seemed to overlap as the two golden iron chains smashed into Ling Chang's chest and back one after the other. The terrifying impact from both front and back shattered Ling Chang's sternum on the spot, and his 5 internal organs were displaced. Pung! Under the countless shocked gazes of the audience, Ling Chong fell onto the stage like a pile of mud. Scarlet blood continuously gushed out from his mouth. His eyes were wide open as he lay on the ground. His body trembled, his face turned purple, and his veins popped out. Hiss! The appearance of this scene caused everyone present to suck in a breath of cold air. Pairs of eyes that looked at Rinchong were filled with awe and fear. Such a method was truly ruthless. With Ling Chang's injuries, it would probably take at least half a year for him to recover. This Rinchong was simply a malefic star, and it was best not to provoke him. In just 3 moves, Ling Chong had suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Rinchong. His ruthless methods, however, caused Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute and Shu Shuero to frown. On the other hand, Tifeng Province's side was filled with cheers. Looking at the current situation, this year's Star Elite competition would be won by Tifeng Province. Whoosh! Suddenly, when everyone was in a state of shock, Rinchong, who was on the stage, made another move. He hooked the end of the iron chain onto Ling Chang's saber that was scattered on the stage. Everyone was shocked, but they saw the iron chain lift and the saber suddenly flew out. The direction the saber flew towards was the outermost corner of the stage. This area was impressively the direction where Tensei Prefecture was located. Pung! The sharp edge of the saber cut through the air, directly piercing through a table, and stood side by side on the table. Everyone from Tensei Prefecture was shocked to the point of retreating. Only Chu Hen was still quietly sitting on the chair, and there was not a trace of emotion on his handsome face. Rinchong versus Chu Hen? The surrounding people were stunned once again. Chapter 70. Junlai Pavilion. The lights were dim, and the light was dazzling. The Star Elites tournament had attracted countless onlookers, and on the second floor of the Sovereign Arrival Pavilion, there were 2 middle-aged men sitting by the window. One of them was well-built and had a gentle expression. It was the elder mentor of Tensei Prefecture, Song Chunglai. Opposite Song Chunglai sat a man in black. The latter was leisurely drinking the wine in his glass. He tasted it carefully first, then finished it in one gulp. There was a faint look of satisfaction on his face. Gawan ha? All right, Chunglai, you've never come to the Star Genius competition before. Why did you drag me here this year? The man in black raised his head and looked at Song Chunglai, revealing a rather pale face. You'll know later, shadowless, Song Chunglai replied, but his attention was still on the square downstairs where the new geniuses from the various martial houses were gathered. Shadowless was one of the core mentors of Tensei Prefecture. Even among the instructors of the various martial houses in the imperial capital, he was a rather famous figure. His popularity in Tensei Prefecture was second only to Shilon. However, seeing Song Chunglai's rather serious expression, Shadowless glanced at the square below and shook his head. He said, boring. A bunch of new people competing, nothing to see. If you didn't treat me to a drink, I wouldn't have come. The Star Genius competition could be said to be organized by the various martial houses and academies in the Imperial City. The mentors of the academies would not participate. Even so, there were still many mentors who would pay attention to the students of their own martial houses. Other than Song Chunglai and Shadowless, there were also mentors from other martial houses who were gathered here. However, they would not show up at such an occasion. In a unique private room by the window on the third floor of the Junlai Pavilion, a handsome young man had a somewhat frivolous smile on his face. On the chest area of his luxurious shirt, there was a blazing sun pattern that exuded an arrogant aura. Wei Qingfan, one of the famous geniuses in Tifeng Province. His cultivation level had long entered the core transformation stage. Young master, the show is about to begin. The middle-aged man behind him, Wei Han, spoke with a low voice that was filled with coldness. A playful smile appeared on Wei Qingfan's face. He crossed his right arm in front of him and held an exquisite wine glass in his left hand. He muttered softly, after dragging out for 2 months, it can finally be over. I believe that Miss Yi will like everything that young master has arranged for her. I think so, huh? In a quiet and inconspicuous place on the second floor of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion, a beautiful figure as cold as ice stood quietly by the windowsill. There was not the slightest flaw in her exquisite appearance. Her elegant and refined temperament was like a snow lotus on an iceberg. Long Xuanxuang's beautiful eyes rippled with a hint of coldness. Previously, when we were in Blazing Rain City, I reminded you that it's best to keep your distance from that woman. Now what should you choose? The arena. Countless different pairs of eyes were gathered together in unison. You, get your ass up here. The newcomer king of Tifeng Province, Ren Chong, looked down at Chu Hen, who was below the arena, and taunted him with an incomparably disdainful tone. Humiliation. This was a blatant humiliation. Ren Chong directly swung his blade towards the opponent and directly stabbed it into the table beside Chu Hen. In front of the thousands, or even tens of thousands of people. There was no provocation that was more insulting than this. Everyone's expression changed. Many people secretly broke out in cold sweat for Chu Hen, but even more people were rejoicing in his misfortune, casting disdainful gazes. Because the person on the arena was Ren Chong, the strongest genius among this year's newcomers. And the person below the arena was Chu Hen, a person from Tensei Prefecture who was at the bottom of the rankings. Chu Hen's expression was calm, but his eyes were already filled with an icy cold light. At this moment, Chu Hen could be 100% sure that everything Liang Yiming said to him was the truth. A cold killing intent rapidly brewed in Chu Hen's heart. Everyone stared at Chu Hen. Some were anxious, some were indifferent, and some were disdainful. The Tifeng Province's Yi Yao's small face was taut, her silver teeth biting her red lips, her face full of worry. She could not help but turn her pleading gaze towards Yi Yu, hoping that her sister would be able to help Chu Hen resolve his current awkward situation. However, when she saw Yi Yu's faint smile, Yi Yao's entire person seemed to have sunk into an ice house. Her sister was actually very happy. Seeing Chu Hen being provoked and humiliated by Ren Chong, Yi Yu actually smiled. Yi Yao's small hand clenched the corner of her shirt tightly, her knuckles faintly turning white. At this moment, The kind sister in her eyes seemed somewhat unfamiliar. "What's wrong? Are you so scared that you don't even dare to speak?" Rin Chong sneered and shouted in a cold and disdainful voice. "Since you don't dare to go up to the arena, then scram now. Or you can kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times, begging me to let you go, and I won't cause trouble for you in the future." Disdain, frivolous, sarcasm. Everyone in the arena looked as if they were watching a show. "You're simply too much." Mu Feng was the first to explode. He shouted angrily, "Bastard, I'll fight on his behalf." "Hey, who do you think you are? Do you think you're worthy of fighting with me?" "Umph." Mu Feng was about to scold him again when a cold and stern figure had already stood up from his seat. The firm and determined silhouette exuded a cold and austere aura. "I'll solve my own problem myself." Every word was as sharp as a needle. Everyone's expression changed. They all looked at Chu Hen in surprise. "Chu Hen, you." Mu Feng frowned. "Senior brother Chu Hen, don't let your emotions affect your decisions." Li Hui also hurriedly advised. "Umph." The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled up into a cold arc. He turned to look at the crowd next to him, and a sharp, cold light flashed in his eyes. "I didn't say anything just now because I was thinking about how to kill him later." "Kill him?" His cold tone was like the north wind in the winter, penetrating deep into the bones. Especially the last 3 words. It was like a sharp knife that pierced straight into the hearts of the crowd. Everyone's expression changed again and again. They only felt a chill run down their spine. Apart from being shocked, most of them expressed disdain. "Is this guy crazy? How dare you say such shameless words?" Even Lingxi Martial House's Ling Chong couldn't take 3 of Ren Chong's moves, and he still dares to say that he will kill Ren Chong. He's probably dizzy from fear. As long as he really dares to go on stage, he will definitely die without even knowing how. The crowd was filled with ridicule and disdain. Apart from Yao, Yu Chenyu, and a few others who were still worried about Chu Hen, everyone else had a look of ridicule on their faces. "Haha, how interesting." Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute smiled with interest and said, "This Tensei Prefecture is really getting worse year by year. At least the new recruits last year were more normal." Shu Shuero did not say anything. Her gentle and beautiful eyes only quietly looked at the stage in front of her. Under thousands of different gazes, Chu Hen steadily walked towards the stage. The youth's figure was straight like a sharp spear. His firm brows faintly surged with a fierce light. The smile on Ren Chong's face grew wider as he glanced in the direction of the 3rd floor of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion. Wei Qingfan, who was in a private room on the 3rd floor, had a playful smile on his face. Ling Chong, who had been beaten half to death by Ren Chong in 3 moves, was carried off the arena by a few members of the Spirit Rhino Martial House. Looking at Ling Chang's miserable ending, in the eyes of the crowd, it was like Chu Hen's mistake was a warning. His footsteps were steady, without the slightest bit of fear. Chu Hen's expression was calm as he stepped onto the fighting stage. Under his calm and tranquil face hid a ruthless fury that was comparable to the magma of a volcano. "He really dares to go on stage. That kid is dead for sure." The atmosphere gradually calmed down, as if everyone was waiting for Chu Hen to become the 2nd Ling Chong. "Wait." Suddenly, an indifferent voice broke the atmosphere. Everyone couldn't help but look in the direction of the Bright Moon Academy. A slender and high-spirited figure walked out from his seats. "It's He Chao. What does he want to do?" "I don't know." He Chao walked towards the stage with a playful smile on his face. He cupped his fists towards Ren Chong and said with a faint smile, "Senior brother Ren Chong, I have some personal grudges with junior brother Chu Hen. Can you let me settle this match?" As soon as these words were spoken, the entire audience burst into an uproar. It turned out that Chu Hen had offended more than one person. "Oh." Ren Chong raised an eyebrow and replied with interest, "You're going to fight him?" "Yes." "Then what you're going to do next will satisfy me." "It will definitely satisfy senior brother Ren Chong." Everyone could tell that both of them didn't want to let Chu Hen have an easy time. Looking at the malicious ruthlessness in He Chao's eyes, Ren Chong smiled indifferently and raised his hand slightly, saying, "All right, Then I'll let you have this match first. Hee hee. Thank you, senior brother Rin Chong. Immediately, Rin Chong jumped off the stage and was about to return to the seats of the Tifeng province. However, at this moment, a cold voice stopped him. Don't be in a hurry to go back. Just stand by the side of the stage. You'll come up very soon. What? Everyone's heart was shocked. Chu Hen's face was already covered with a layer of cold frost. Rin Chong frowned. Then, he laughed mockingly and said, Hee good. I'll stand here and watch. If you have the ability, then let me go up. He Chao had the strength of the second rank of the elemental opening realm and the bloodline limit of the spiritual sword battle physique. There were only a few new students who could defeat him. How could Chu Hen say such arrogant words? Oomph. He Chao sneered and jumped onto the stage. The biggest mistake you've made today is to appear here. Chapter 71. On the martial arts arena, a cold wind blew, a gentle night breeze blew, but it was faintly mixed with a trace of coldness. Rin Chong provoked, and Chu Hen accepted the challenge. Halfway through, He Chao appeared and wanted to settle old scores with Chu Hen. The development of the Star Elite competition was becoming more and more unexpected. But no matter what, Tensei Prefecture was always in a state of being attacked by everyone, from a group to an individual. The biggest mistake you made today was to appear here. A cold smile appeared on He Chao's face. A cold glint surged within Chu Hen's eyes. I'll return those words back to you. The crowd below the arena was in an uproar, and all kinds of disdainful and mocking voices rose and fell. That guy is really arrogant. I think there's a chance. I remember 2 months ago, Chu Hen and He Chao had a simple fight at the gate of Bright Moon Academy. Neither of them had the upper hand. Please, you said it yourself 2 months ago. 2 months ago, He Chao was only at the 9th level of Channel Opening Realm. Now, he has broken through to the 2nd level of Element Opening Realm. How can Chu Hen compare to him now? That's true. Other than the people of Tensei Prefecture, only Yi Yao, Yu Qingyu, and a few others stood on Chu Hen's side. Everyone present knew that He Chao was indeed not easy to deal with. In addition to the grudges between the two of them, He Chao would definitely make things difficult for Chu Hen. You escaped quite quickly last time. Let's see where you can run to this time. Zong. He Chao moved his palm, and a sharp sword appeared in his hand. A piercingly cold sword aura leaked out of his body, and dense true origin energy climbed up the sword's body like golden vines. Circles of golden light surrounded the sword's body, dazzling and dazzling. The sharp aura caused the air to tremble. Seeing He Chao's aura, the crowd below the arena was even more determined. Below the stage, Rin Chong crossed his arms in front of him with a frivolous smile on his face. On the other hand, Yi Yu, who was seated in the Tifeng province regional seat, revealed a faint smile. In her eyes, she and Chu Hen were people from 2 different worlds. She could quietly sit here and watch others wantonly humiliate Chu Hen. Soon, Chu Hen didn't even have the chance to raise his head in front of her. I won't run. Chu Hen sneered indifferently. At the same time, a terrifying chill gushed out of his body. Today, I will make you pay for what you have done to senior brother Housie, with interest. Back then, Chu Hen had failed to enter the Bright Moon Academy. As a result, He Chao vented his anger on Housie. If it wasn't for Chu Hen's timely discovery, what would have happened? Unimaginable. Now, Chu Hen had to get his revenge. Let's see if you have the ability. Boom. As soon as his voice fell, an amazing and powerful aura burst out from He Chao's body. A circle of invisible airwave shocked the stones and gravel on the ground. Endless sword chi surrounded He Chao's body, forming a golden solid cyclone. The next moment, along with a strong power, the sharp sword in He Chao's hand shone brightly. Buzz, buzz. The sound of the airwave trembling made the air on the arena chaotic. The sharp sword in He Chao's hand bloomed with a dazzling golden brilliance, and the sword chi became more and more vigorous. In the blink of an eye, a nearly 10-meter-high illusory sword shadow suddenly appeared behind He Chao. That is, everyone under the stage looked at the illusory sword shadow behind He Chao in shock. It was sharp and exuded a palpitating aura. The bloodline limit of the Spirit Sword battle body is really amazing. It can actually condense such a powerful sword momentum. It seems that He Chao intends to get rid of that guy in one move. Senior brother He Chao is mighty. In the many exclamations below, everyone seemed to have seen Chu Hen's tragic end. Buzz. At this moment, Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and the Demon Punisher spear immediately appeared in his hand. The surging true chi instantly covered the body of the spear, and it burned restlessly like a vigorous flame. Hey! He Chao's face revealed a sinister smile. The sword chi that lingered outside his body quickly gathered toward the sharp sword in his hand, and an unusually fierce aura shook the airflow in all directions. Die! What an ignorant fool! Graceful sword! He Chao shouted, and the edge of the sword moved. The unstoppable sword momentum poured out like a raging tide. The speed of the sword was like lightning, and the momentum shook the whole arena. In a split second, a sword image that seemed to be real tore through the air. It dragged out a blast of air in the air and whistled towards Chu Hen. Everyone present couldn't help but narrow their eyes. The sword image rapidly enlarged to a length of 5 to 6 meters as it moved. Circles of white air ripples rapidly rotated at the tip of the sword's edge. The unstoppable violent wind surged toward Chu Hen. He Chao's sword had an imposing aura that seemed to want to kill Chu Hen on the spot. Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao couldn't help but stand up from her seat, and her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Just when everyone thought that Chu Hen was about to be defeated by this sword, a shocking surging aura suddenly rose from Chu Hen's body. The biting cold, true chi swept in all directions. Arg! Along with a sharp ghost howl, the Demon Punisher spear in Chu Hen's hand instantly turned scarlet. The entire spear was blood red, and even the spear edge was the same. That is, the dazzling scarlet Demon Punisher spear seemed to be soaked in blood, and it was demonic and murderous. Buzz! In the next second, Chu Hen directly sent the Demon Punisher spear out, and the incomparably violent power was like a volcanic eruption, and the dazzling blood-red light was released wantonly. An ice-cold aura enveloped more than half of the arena. Gale Blood Shadow Spear. Boom! An especially heavy and violent vibration exploded on the arena, and the Demon Punisher spear directly collided with the powerful sword shadow. A golden sword shadow, a red spear shadow. The two shocking shockwaves were like two torrents converging and merging. Crisscrossing cracks spread on the arena, and every inch of the rubble was shattered like a swarm of startled moths. He caught it. That guy actually caught Senior He Chao's sword with all his strength. The crowd below the arena was shocked by the scene in front of them, and many of them stood up from their seats. However, the most surprising thing was yet to come. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled into a cold smile, and an even more powerful aura erupted from his body. This aura instantly overpowered He Chao, who was at the second level of the elemental opening realm. What? In the next moment, the sharp spear light stirred up a storm. Boom! Along with a loud explosion, the golden sword shadow was directly shattered, exploding into crystal fragments that filled the sky. However, Chu Hen's attack did not decrease, and the 3-foot spear light attacked He Chao with irresistible force. Everyone's heart was startled. He Chao's expression changed greatly, and the sharp spear light was reflected in his panicked eyes. Without any time to dodge, He Chao hurriedly placed his sword in front of him, intending to block this attack. Bang! The tip of the Demon Punisher spear firmly hit the center of his opponent's sword, and a force comparable to the impact of a mountain came crashing down, breaking the sword into two. The overbearing force of the impact completely entered his opponent's body. Subsequently, under the countless eyes of the crowd below the arena, He Chao was directly sent flying. Fresh blood sprayed out of his mouth and danced in the air, forming a string of dazzling blood flowers. Bang! He Chao fell heavily on the arena, and his sternum was about to crack. His internal organs were displaced, and his body was trembling, but he could not even get up. One move. He only used one move. Oomph. A piece of trash who can't even withstand one of my attacks dares to jump around in front of me. An extremely disdainful voice came out of Chu Hen's mouth, and the entire monarch arrival pavilion fell into a deathly silence. Countless people present felt as if they had been slapped hard in the face, and their minds were in chaos from the slap. Everyone was shocked, and even Rin Chong, Yang Yute, and Shu Shiwero could not help but frown. Yu Qingyu, Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others. A few people were shocked, but they could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Yi Yao, who was in the Tifeng province area, opened her small mouth slightly, and her bright eyes were filled with surprise. In comparison, Yi Yu, who was beside her, was the complete opposite. Her pretty face was covered in a layer of frost. This kid, I haven't seen him for a month, and he has actually become so strong? Song Chenglai, who was sitting by the window on the second floor, was surprised and overjoyed. Even Shadowless, who had always been indifferent, was astonished. He is the newcomer that you personally recruited to Sky Star? Yes. Song Chenglai nodded. At this moment, he was truly happy. Back then, he was the one who had brought Chu Hen to Tensei Prefecture. As it turned out, he had made the right choice. Chu Hen was indeed a talent that could be molded. In the arena, Chu Hen had already become the center of attention. He had defeated He Chao, who was in the second level of the element opening realm, in one move. This was even more shocking than Rin Chong defeating Ling Chong of the Lingxi martial house in 3 moves. Chu Hen carried the demon Punisher spear on his back and walked towards He Chao, who was in front of him. He Chao's face was filled with fear. This feeling was like the god of death was approaching. He struggled to get up from the ground, but he was powerless. What are you trying to do? Chu Hen had an evil smile on his face, but his voice was still cold. Back at the Bright Moon Martial House, it was a grudge between you and me. If you want revenge, you can come and find me. You, on the other hand, force your anger on an unrelated person. People like you can't even be called cowards. He Chao clenched his teeth in hatred. Both of his hands were on the ground, and he shouted fiercely, Don't you dare touch me. Otherwise, the higher-ups of the Bright Moon Martial House will not let you off. I said that today. I will make you pay for what you did to senior brother Housie, with interest. A cold light flashed in Chu Hen's eyes, and he thrust the demon Punisher spear in his hand. The sound of a sharp weapon piercing through flesh made people's hearts tremble. He Chao's pupils were about to crack. The tip of the demon Punisher spear had forcefully pierced through He Chao's right palm. Together with his pierced palm, he was firmly nailed to the arena. Chapter 72. An incomparably shrill scream immediately reverberated throughout the arena. Everyone in the arena widened their eyes and felt a faint chill run down their spines. The demon Punisher spear had pierced through He Chao's right hand and nailed it to the arena. Scarlet blood spurted out and flowed happily on the ground. He Chao's body trembled, and his other hand grabbed the tip of the spear in an attempt to pull it out. However, the demon Punisher spear was like a long nail that had been nailed into solid wood. It was firmly embedded in the ground, and he was unable to move. Go away, go away. He Chao's eyes were bloodshot, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. The intense pain caused his face to contort. He glared angrily at Chu Hen and scolded fiercely. I will kill you. I will definitely kill you. I will cripple your arms and legs. Hiss. Before He Chao could finish speaking, Chu Hen pulled out the demon Punisher spear and a string of blood splattered. He Chao once again let out a shrill scream. A bloody hole appeared in the palm of his right hand. Before the audience could react, the demon Punisher spear drew a shadow in the air, and in the next moment, He Chao's body shook violently. His left hand had been pierced once again and was nailed to the arena. The howl that sounded like a pig being slaughtered caused everyone's faces to turn pale and their minds to tremble. Ruthless, he was truly ruthless. Crippling He Chao's 2 hands in a row, Chu Hen's methods caused countless people's hearts to palpitate with fear. However, Chu Hen's expression was extremely calm, and he did not even blink. Looking at Yi Chao, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog, Chu Hen's lips curled into a cold smile. I've said it before, I will make you pay for what you've done to Senior Housey with interest. You almost crippled his hands, so I'll just cripple your hands. His icy cold words caused everyone to feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. In the bright moon Marshall house, Xian's legs were trembling uncontrollably. Back then, he and Yi Chao framed Housey together. Now, Yi Chao was lying in front of Chu Hen. If it were him, what would he do? Xian was shocked and scared. He couldn't help but worry that after this incident, would Chu Hen settle the score with him? Tifeng Province seats. Big Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao clenched her fists, her eyes filled with complex emotions. At this moment, the aura radiating from Chu Hen's body was abnormally cold. It was as cold as an ice blade, sharp and terrifying. In the past, when they were in Flame of Rain City, Chu Hen's aura was warm. Every time she stood with him, it would be very warm and comfortable. But now, her sister had become a stranger, and Big Brother Chu Hen was not the same as before. However, Yi Yao knew that the reason why Chu Hen had become like this was because of her sister, Yi Yu. Yi Yu's eyes were filled with frost, and her face did not look too good. Chu Hen's performance had disappointed her once again. How long had it been since they last met? Since the last time they met at the Yi family in Flame of Rain City, it had been more than 3 months. In less than 4 months, Chu Hen's strength had actually become so strong? What exactly had happened? In the midst of her shock, Yi Yu's eyes turned slightly cold, and a chill quietly surged. In the arena, Yi Chao, whose hands had been pierced, curled up into a ball because of the continuous attacks. His face was pale, and he was in a sorry state. He did not have the slightest bit of spirit from before. Fear had long suppressed his anger, and finally, all that was left was begging. Don't kill me, humph. Chu Hen laughed coldly. With a flick of his palm, he pulled out the Demon Punisher spear again. The intense pain caused Yi Chao's facial features to twist together. He knelt on the ground and tremblingly raised his 2 bloody hands. Regret and hatred mixed together, resentment, shock, and anger. Everyone secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. It was unknown whether he could recover from this injury. This time, Yi Chao had really paid a painful price. Even the people from the Tensei Prefecture were scared out of their wits, and they did not recover for a while. However, Chu Hen did not give Yi Chao another glance. His ice-cold, blade-like gaze swept towards the newcomer king of the Emperor's style, Ren Chong, below the stage. He pointed the blood-stained Demon Punisher spear at his opponent from above. You get up here. You get up here. This was what Ren Chong had said to Chu Hen just now. Now, Chu Hen had returned it to him, word for word, pointing the spear at him. Provocation, absolute provocation. To a martial cultivator, this was the greatest humiliation. Just like how Ren Chong had used his blade to humiliate Chu Hen, now, Chu Hen had returned it all. Ta! A drop of scarlet blood fell from the tip of the Demon Punisher's spear to the ground. The sharp spear tip was exceptionally dazzling. The atmosphere of the entire arena froze, and the air was filled with an aura that made people's hearts palpitate. Chu Hen stood on the arena. His slender figure was as straight as the spear in his hand, and his deep eyes were as sharp as a blade. 3 feet of spear light. Who could compete with it? Ren Chong's face had long since turned ashen. His tightly furrowed brows suddenly relaxed, and a fierce smile once again appeared on his face. Ha ha ha! Interesting, really interesting. I didn't think that you could give me such a big surprise. Not bad, ha-hoo. As soon as he finished speaking, Ren Chong leaped onto the arena. A formless wave of air was released from the arena. Chu Hen and Ren Chong, who stood on both sides, were like 2 mountains facing each other, emitting a dreadful aura. One used 3 moves to heavily injure Ling Chong of the Spirit Rhino Martial House. The other used 1 move to defeat Yi Chao of the Bright Moon Academy, and crippled both of his hands. These 2 people were truly rarely seen fierce people. Yi Chao was hurriedly supported down the arena by a few new geniuses of the Bright Moon Academy. The atmosphere became even quieter, and there was no longer the previous chaos. because no one had expected that Chu Hen and Rin Chong would face each other in such a way. Who would win? It had become an unknown, but the majority of people still acknowledged Rin Chong in their hearts. Please, Rin Chong sneered, and his fierce eyes looked at Chu Hen in front of him. Chu Hen's eyes were ice cold. He held his spear with one hand and faced his opponent head-on. What? You don't dare to move? Rin Chong mocked. So what if I let you make the first move? You're courting death. Rin Chong's brows were full of killing intent, and a surging aura erupted from his body. His figure moved, and he immediately rushed towards Chu Hen. Voila! At the same time, Rin Chong raised his right hand, and a hard and cold iron chain, like a poisonous snake coming out of its hole, dragged a string of black shadows in the air and attacked Chu Hen. At this time, a similarly vigorous, true essence quickly enveloped the demon Punisher spear. Chu Hen raised his spear to meet the opponent's iron chain. Ding! Bang! The sharp weapons collided, and all kinds of sparks burst out in the air. The iron chain in Rin Chong's hand was like a spirit snake, and like a long whip, it struck from the side and launched an attack with a sweeping momentum. The range of the attack was not small. Chu Hen advanced towards his opponent step by step. He understood that with Rin Chong's attack style, long-range tactics were the best. Once he got close, his advantage would be greatly reduced. It's not that easy to get close to me, Rin Chong snorted in disdain. He raised his left hand again, and another iron chain burst out. The two iron chains swept towards Chu Hen, one left and one right, one front and one back. The iron chain blocked the river, and he couldn't advance or retreat. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and the tip of his feet touched the ground, and he leaped up. The two cold iron chains swept under his body. As Chu Hen fell, he pointed the tip of the spear to the ground, and the body of the demon Punisher spear bent slightly. Immediately, Chu Hen's body bounced up again, and he completed a turn in midair. Then, he held the spear with both hands and stabbed towards Rin Chong's throat. Good spear technique. Mu Feng, who was below the stage, couldn't help but praise. Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other new students of Tensei Prefecture couldn't help but clench their fists in excitement. Everyone secretly sighed in their hearts. As expected, Chu Hen had concealed himself deeply. The wind was like a shadow, and the light from the spear was dazzling. Rin Chong's eyes reflected the incomparably sharp tip of the spear, and a disdainful smile appeared on his face. Don't be too happy too early. If you think that's all I have, then you're gravely mistaken. Swoosh! Rin Chong raised his hands, and the two iron chains quickly retracted. Afterwards, they crossed in front of Chu Hen, and he swung them towards him viciously. Dense true energy poured into the iron chains. In that moment, the two chains shone with a resplendent golden light. The light was so dazzling that it seemed like it had been dyed by the light of the sun. Feeling the powerful aura of the two iron chains flying towards him, a cold glint surged within Chu Hen's eyes. Chaotic body, Chu Hen cried out inside. Buzz, along with the extremely restless energy undulations, a strand of strange black light surged out of his body and quickly gathered towards the demon Punisher spear. The dark golden demon Punisher spear immediately spat out the black flames that resembled the demonic flames of the 9 underworlds. The spear moved like lightning, and it was abnormally cold. The demon Punisher spear, which was surrounded by a black light, hit the center of the intersection of the two chains. Pung! An explosive sound rang out, and the chaotic power of Zhen Yuan wantonly burst out. The two chains suddenly trembled violently, and the joints of the chains intersected, making a heavy sound. Boom! The extremely tyrannical power collided with each other. Together with the might of a fierce wind, Rin Chong was actually forced to continuously retreat by Chu Hen's attack. The appearance of this scene once again caused everyone to reveal a look of shock on their faces. In the clash of strength, Chu Hen actually gained the upper hand. Rin Chong stabilized himself. His face sank, and fury surged in his eyes. You bastard, I've underestimated your strength. thank you for your praise. In order to repay your praise, I'll skin you alive today." Chu Hen took advantage of the situation and launched his next attack without any hesitation. Ren Chong's eyes turned cold, and killing intent surged. What arrogance! Chapter 73. Rumble, a piercingly cold and surging aura blossomed on the stage. Everyone's expression changed. They saw that Ren Chong's sleeves once again burst out with 2 iron chains. There were a total of 4 chains that launched a fierce attack on Chu Hen. Swish! Swish! The 4 chains were like 4 agile pythons, dancing up and down and changing. Ren Chong's hands moved extremely quickly, and his control was extremely adept. Under his control, for thick and strong chains, one in front and one behind, one on the left and one on the right, surrounded Chu Hen in the middle. Layers upon layers of fierce attacks dazzled people's eyes. Chu Hen was surrounded and attacked by 4 chains, but he was calm and unruffled. He did not panic in the slightest. The bloodline power of the chaotic body lingered on the demon-punishing spear like the throbbing, black flames of hell. Swish! Suddenly, the sound of rushing wind could be heard as the iron chain from the right whistled over. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and he swung his spear horizontally to receive it. Bang! The powerful forces collided, creating a shockwave of scattered true energy. As the first chain was knocked back, a second one came from the left. Chu Hen caught up with it. He raised a palm strike to the side, and the surrounding air surged out furiously. Mountain-shattering palm. Boom! Bang! The tyrannical quintessential essence power transformed into a vast and mighty shockwave that bombarded the iron chain. Rocks and dust were thrown into the air. Not only did the violent force knock the chains away, but over a dozen deep cracks even appeared on the tiles on the stage. However, before Chu Hen could even breathe a sigh of relief, the other 2 chains smashed down from above his head. The rapid rumbling of the shockwave was abnormally heavy. The 2 chains possessed tremendous force. Chu Hen did not receive it forcefully. He used the roaming dragon steps of the Big Dipper and dodged to the side. Boom! 2 chains that were flickering with golden light landed heavily on the ground. Numerous rocks flew into the air like startled moths. The chaotic and disorderly quintessential essence power wantonly leaked out, and the arena was instantly thrown into chaos. Everyone below the stage was shocked. The battle in front of him could be said to be very enjoyable. It looked as if Ren Chong was controlling 4 poisonous pythons to besiege Chu Hen. Although he was surrounded, Chu Hen did not panic. His defense was as smooth as flowing water, and he did not leave any openings for his opponents to exploit. I want to see how long you can last. The killing intent in Ren Chong's eyes grew thicker and thicker, followed by an even more powerful aura erupting from his body. In an instant, the 4 chains under his control all shone brilliantly. They were enveloped in a golden divine radiance, and they seemed like 4 pieces of divine metal. Moreover, the speed of the attack instantly doubled, and the strength of the attack also increased. Senior Brother Ren Chong is starting to get serious. The Soul Lock battle body is truly ever-changing. I didn't expect Senior Brother Ren Chong to be able to control 4 chains at such a young age. It is said that the strongest prodigy of the Ren clan can control 8 chains at once. As long as one is trapped by the Soul Lock, it is almost impossible to break through. That's right. It won't be long before Chu Hen is trapped to death. The power that Ren Chong had displayed was truly admirable to the countless people present. The speed of the 4 chains was incomparably fast, and they constantly attacked and chased after Chu Hen from all directions. The pressure on Chu Hen gradually increased. Just when everyone thought that Chu Hen was about to be defeated, something astonishing happened. They saw that Chu Hen's movement speed suddenly became abnormally sharp. Swish! 2 chains attacked, and Chu Hen dodged to the side. The other 2 chains followed. Chu Hen raised his Demon Punisher spear and released a spear light that repelled the chains. Between attack and defense, there was no pressure at all. Everyone below the stage was astonished, but no one knew that in the depths of Chu Hen's eyes, There was a demonic purple radiance surging. Just a moment ago, Chu Hen had secretly released the power of the demon pupil. Under the detection of the demon pupil, the true essence in Ren Chang's body was presented in front of Chu Hen. Chu Hen was able to determine in advance which chain would be the main attack, so he could be on guard in advance. Boom! Bang! The 4 golden chains soared like dancing dragons, dazzling the eyes and overwhelming the onlookers. The powerful impact constantly reverberated on the stage, and the stone tiles on the ground collapsed layer by layer. The spear light and shadow intersected. Every chain was extremely lethal, and deep cracks appeared and spread on the surface of the platform. In an instant, the entire stage was enveloped in a chaotic gale. Under the siege of the 4 chains, Chu Hen's figure was like a ghost, abnormally agile. A pair of demon pupil flickered with a faint purple light. While probing the defense, Chu Hen was quietly preparing a counterattack, looking at the sparks flying on the stage. Everyone in the audience could only exclaim in surprise. They were amazed at the strength of the Emperor-style newcomer king Ren Chang's soul-locked battle body, and even more amazed at the 3-feet-sharp light displayed by Chu Hen. What is this person's background? How can he have such extraordinary strength? In the Imperial Martial Academy's seating area, Yang Yute held his chin with his right hand, his eyes faintly surging with bewilderment. Shu Shiro's red lips slightly opened as she softly replied, "I heard the people of Tensei Prefecture call him Chu Hen. It seems that he is the newcomer that was rejected by the 30 high-ranked martial houses." "Oh, it's him. It should be. To be rejected by so many high-ranked martial houses, he must have offended someone. Who did he offend?" Yang Yute couldn't help but narrow his eyes as he looked at Ren Chang's face full of killing intent. After pondering for a moment, he said, "I know who he offended." "Who?" Shu Shiro casually asked. Yang Yute smiled without saying a word. His gaze was filled with interest as he glanced at the Tifeng province's seating area, Yiyu. Shu Shiro was slightly surprised, and her eyes also surged with a bit of understanding. Seeing that Chu Hen was not at a disadvantage under Ren Chang's continuous fierce attacks, Yiyu's face quietly showed a hint of frost. She was already unable to see through Chu Hen more and more. In the past, when she was in Flame Rain City, she was absolutely clear about Chu Hen's background. However, after what happened that night, Chu Hen disappeared for 3 months. When he appeared in front of her again, it was as if there was a layer of fog in front of Yiyu. Every time she thought that the outcome was set, Chu Hen would give her an unexpected performance. Of course, no matter what. In Yiyu's view, there was no comparison between Chu Hen and Wei Qingfan. This guy really hid his strength well. Liang Yiming shook his head with a look of amazement. No wonder Chu Hen still dared to come here even after he told him everything. It turned out that it wasn't that the other party was stupid, but that he came prepared. After being shocked, Liang Yiming also realized that he had not misjudged Chu Hen. Chu Hen was indeed worthy of befriending. In the giant elephant martial house's seating area, Yu Qinyu's mouth was slightly agape. Her beautiful eyes were filled with faint ripples of surprise. It had only been a short time since they last saw each other, but Chu Hen had already grown to such an extent. It was really unbelievable. Those pig from the giant elephant martial house are really blind to not want such a good talent. Yu Qinyu softly scolded to herself. Rumble. The battle on the stage became increasingly intense. True essence wantonly collided with each other, and all kinds of heavy forces collided with each other. Chu Hen's Demon Punisher spear was incomparably sharp, and he continuously flicked 4 iron chains. If this is all you have, then I'm sorry to tell you that you will be carried off the stage. A disdainful voice came out of Ren Chang's mouth. Chu Hen pushed back 2 iron chains with a palm strike, and coldly replied, "Do you think you are qualified to say such words? You won't be able to be so proud soon." As soon as he finished speaking, the 4 chains instantly surrounded Chu Hen. Under Ren Chang's control, the chains blossomed with an incomparably bright and dazzling golden splendor. Following that, they expanded and extended for tens of meters, rapidly rotating. In an instant, the iron chains formed a circular cage of about 5 meters in diameter. The iron chain cage spun continuously like a revolving lantern, and Chu Hen was trapped within. Other than his feet, all other directions were sealed by iron chains, including the top of his head. Let's see how you escape from my iron chain cage. A sinister and sinister smile flashed in Rin Chong's eyes. Rumble. The sound was like a tide and like rolling thunder. Together with the unstoppable, piercingly cold aura, the iron chain cage that trapped Chu Hen began to rapidly shrink. From afar, it looked like a rapidly shrinking golden whirlpool, and the violent wind stirred the air in all directions, and the entire arena was sent flying with sand and stones. What a powerful aura! Chu Hen is definitely finished. The Emperor-style newcomer king really lives up to his reputation. Seeing the golden whirlpool-like iron chain cage shrinking smaller and smaller, everyone present could not help but feel that Chu Hen was about to be defeated by Rin Chong. However, at this moment, an incomparably sharp light suddenly rose from the iron chain cage. Buzz, buzz! The surging black light all surged towards the demon Punisher spear, and Chu Hen flew into a rage. With a wave of his arm, the demon Punisher's spear shot out, and more than a dozen condensed spear lights stacked together, and with the momentum of breaking the wind, it struck the iron chain cage in front of him. Boom! The force that was comparable to the impact of a mountain collided with the wall formed by the iron chains. The ground of the entire arena trembled violently. A crack was forcefully broken open by the power of the demon Punisher's spear. The scattered true essence was like a torrent that broke a dam, and Chu Hen borrowed the powerful force of the spear to quickly rush out of the iron chain cage. What? This guy? Everyone in the arena had a look of shock on their faces. Indeed, even an iron wall could not stop Chu Hen. Without waiting for the audience to recover from their shock, Chu Hen raised his spear and rushed towards Rin Chong. Chapter 74. Boom! The surging black light quickly gathered towards the demon Punisher's spear. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and the demon Punisher's spear shot out. Waves of rolling thunder whistled through the air, and a dozen incomparably condensed spear lights overlapped together, firmly striking the wall of the iron chain cage in front of him. The power of the spear that was comparable to a flood caused the entire arena to tremble. The surging true essence was like a lake that had broken through a dam. The iron chain cage that was comparable to an iron wall was forcibly broken through by Chu Hen. This fellow. The expressions of the people below the arena greatly changed, and their eyes revealed a cautious expression. Chu Hen's battle strength was actually this tyrannical. I just said, today I will definitely slaughter you, you dog. After breaking through the golden whirlpool of iron chain cage, Chu Hen did not say anything else. He raised his spear, and a vast and fierce killing intent swept towards Rin Chong. Killing intent. This was absolute killing intent. Fragmented scenes constantly flashed through Chu Hen's mind, and the words that Liang Yiming had said yesterday continuously echoed in his ears. Wei Qingfan has already instructed the Emperor-style newcomer king, Rin Chong, to complete the final step in the Star Elite competition. The reason why you were framed in Flame of Rain City was because Wei Qingfan told Lu Xiao to do it. Of course, that young miss of the Yi family definitely knows about this. The reason why you were rejected by all the high-ranked martial houses in the imperial capital was only because Wei Qingfan wanted to gain Yi Yu's favor. To tell the truth, I am a little surprised that you were actually able to live until now. According to that Wei Qingfan's personality, you should have already died on some street. The words that reverberated in his mind were like a warning bell that rang in Chu Hen's heart again and again. This was like a stimulation to his soul. The anger that had been brewing in his heart had already been ignited. That cold killing intent was abnormally cold and bone-piercing. However, Rin Chong similarly did not have any leniency towards Chu Hen. Previously, he had clearly promised Wei Qingfan that he would eliminate Chu Hen forever in front of the young lady of the Yi family, Yu, in the star competition. Hee hee. A ferocious and cold smile appeared on Ren Chong's face, and a raging killing intent soared into the sky. His eyes were filled with a sinister cold light as he glared fiercely at Chu Hen, who was attacking him from the front. His ice-cold eyes looked as if he was looking at a dead man. You should be proud to die under this move of mine. Boom! In the next moment, rich, quintessential chi erupted from Ren Chong's body without any reservation. Rings of resplendent golden halos circled around his body. They were exceptionally dazzling. A strong gust of wind rose and touched the field. The new disciples of the various martial houses all revealed cautious expressions. What a powerful aura! Is senior brother Ren Chong going to use that move? If it's really that move, Chu Hen will definitely die. Sensing the power released from Ren Chong's body, most of the people present felt a sense of danger from the bottom of their hearts. Anyone could see that Ren Chong was 100% going to kill Chu Hen. Rumble. Along with the thunderous power, Ren Chong raised both of his arms. The 4 iron chains that he controlled were like soaring dragons and dancing snakes. At the same time, they emitted a dazzling golden light and intertwined with each other. The 4 hard and cold iron chains were like 4 intertwining pythons. In the blink of an eye, they transformed into an iron chain that was more than 10 meters long, and a dazzling holy light filled the air. The cold aura spread in all directions. The golden light that shrouded the iron chain immediately transformed into the phantom of a giant python. Oh my God! A cry of surprise came from the crowd below the field. The phantom of the golden python was powerful and showed the power of a ferocious beast. The 4 intertwined iron chains looked like the bones of a snake. Everyone in the room was shocked to the core. No! Yao's face suddenly changed. She hurriedly said to Yu beside her, "Big sister, quickly stop Ren Chong. Big brother, Chu Hen will die. Quickly stop him." However, facing Yao's almost begging gaze, Yu was indifferent. Her eyes were cold and her tone was indifferent. He asked for it. He can't blame anyone. Yao's delicate body trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes. They knew each other in the past, but now she didn't have any feelings for Chu Hen. Yao was a little confused. Looks like it's over. Yang Yute, who was sitting in the Imperial Martial Academy's area, had a faint smile on his face. However, Shu Shiro's beautiful eyes slightly congealed. Between her beautiful brows, there was still a serious expression as she looked at the stage. She was looking forward to how Chu Hen would deal with Ren Chong's killing move. In her opinion, the final winner would still be Ren Chong. Yu Chenyu, Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others couldn't help but become nervous. They all stood up from their seats with a serious expression on their faces. He died. Ren Chong became even more furious and excited. His sinister smile made people's hearts palpitate. 4 snakes kill. Buzz. In an instant, the snake bone iron chain, which was formed by 4 intertwined iron chains, danced in the air. The phantom of the golden python that enveloped it shone brightly. Whoosh! In the next instant, the golden python drew a sharp arc in the air. Then, with the momentum of a dive, it attacked Chu Hen, who was in front of it. The incomparably powerful killing intent shocked everyone present. The surging wind attacked Chu Hen's entire body. The phantom of the giant python, controlled by the 4 iron chains, was like a vicious beast that came from the netherworld. Almost everyone thought that Chu Hen was about to lose his life. However, Chu Hen's face didn't show the slightest bit of fear. Buzz, buzz! Restless black flames covered Chu Hen's body. It was strange and demonic. Rays of vine-like black beams of light quickly extended towards the demon Punisher spear. A cold and gloomy air current pervaded the entire area. Along with a sharp and ear-piercing ghost howl, a blood-colored shadow suddenly appeared behind Chu Hen. This blood phantom was about 5 to 6 meters tall and had the outline of a skull on its surface. The berserk power constantly trembled, causing the outline of the skull to distort. That is, everyone's expression changed once again. However, no one had the time to think or observe. The iron chains that were shrouded in the golden python phantom had already smashed towards Chu Hen with all their might. At the same time, in a split second, Chu Hen's eyes that were as deep as knives revealed an extremely cold intent. He did not hesitate to face the golden python head-on with the demon Punisher spear in his hand. Blood Shadow. Torture Kill. Gale Blood Shadow Spear. Arc. In an instant, the blood-colored skull phantom behind Chu Hen let out a sharp howl that sounded like the wail of a ghost. Hearing this sound, countless people felt their scalps go numb. Meanwhile, the demon Punisher spear that was already blooming with a blood-red light suddenly burst out with a terrifying scarlet spear light. The spear light rapidly expanded, showing the sharpness of the blood phantom's killing intent. Boom! In the next second, under the shocked gazes of nearly 10,000 pairs of eyes, the terrifying scarlet spear light collided with the giant golden python phantom. Chaotic shock waves immediately exploded on the stage. Such a violent collision of power was like a collision between a flood that broke through a dam and a muddy stream that slid down from the belly of a mountain. Chaotic and disorderly true Yuan power flowed out wantonly. Golden and red rays of light blossomed like fireworks. A powerful shock wave swept out from the stage. Rubble shattered and dust flew everywhere. With Chu Hen's feet as the center, deep cracks spread out like a spiderweb. However, under such a ferocious impact, Chu Hen's back was still straight and did not bend in the slightest. This was shocking power. Are these two fellows really at the third level of the element opening realm? Everyone in the audience was shocked and sighed. Their hearts were in their throats. Even Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute and Shu Shuero could not maintain their previous calmness. Big Brother Chu Hen, do your best. Yao clenched her fist and secretly cheered for Chu Hen. From her point of view, winning or losing did not matter at all. As long as Chu Hen was fine, everything would be fine. Buzz buzz. The confrontation between the two shocked the audience. Rin Chong's hands tightly gripped the 4 iron chains in his palms, and a steady stream of true Yuan power was injected into them. He shouted, "I want to see how long you can last. Today, no one can save you." "Huh!" A disdainful smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. The handsome young man's face became unusually fierce. "I don't know how long I can last, but I can be sure that no one can save you today, what?" As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen moved his palm, and the demon Punisher spear once again emitted a demonic red glow. Buzz! Immediately, a red spear light burst out from the tip of the spear. Boom! A heavy explosion exploded on the stage, and a chaotic halo of chi rippled out. Immediately after, countless people's hearts trembled. They saw that the 4 iron chains actually had countless extremely fine cracks spreading out. Densely packed cracks appeared on the iron chains. Rin Chong's face instantly changed. Without waiting for him to react, a bang sound exploded. The 4 iron chains, along with the golden python shadow, exploded in an instant. The golden light that filled the sky danced chaotically. The iron chains that were broken inch by inch bloomed like fireworks. Oh my God! Everyone stared with their eyes wide open. Chu Hen actually broke Rin Chong's move. Following that, iron chain rain fell on the arena. The pieces of the iron chains were like falling petals. Swish! Suddenly, a wave of rushing wind blew over. However, Chu Hen disappeared on the spot like a ghost. Everyone only saw a string of black shadows flashing before their eyes. In the blink of an eye, an endless aura of danger immediately enveloped Rin Chong. Rin Chong's pupils constricted. His eyes, which were filled with panic, reflected the handsome but cold face of a young man. "You asked for all of this." A cold smile appeared on the corner of Chu Hen's mouth. Hiss. Chapter 75. Hiss. In an instant, the air seemed to have frozen, and the entire monarch arrival pavilion fell into a dead silence. The sound of the sharp weapon piercing through flesh pierced everyone's eardrums. The blood that danced on the stage was bright and eye-catching. Under the tens of thousands of gazes filled with shock, Chu Hen unhesitatingly pierced the demon punishing spear into Rin Chong's abdomen. His cold gaze and the aura emanating from Chu Hen's body caused everyone present to feel a deep chill from the bottom of their hearts. Absolute silence. Everyone below the stage widened their eyes. Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the rest. The new geniuses from Tensei Prefecture were all dumbfounded. That was Ren Chong, this year's king of newcomers in Tifeng Province. At this moment, even Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute and Shu Shuuro couldn't help but frown. Even they had not expected such an ending. In a mammoth martial house, Yu Qinyu's mouth was slightly agape. Her jade-like hand covered her red lips, her pretty face filled with shock. Meanwhile, in Tifeng Province, Yi Yao, Yi Yu, Liang Yiming, and the rest were also completely stunned. Especially Yi Yu. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted, and her eyes were wide open. Her heart was in turmoil. Not only was the entire arena in dead silence, but even the guests on the second and third floors of the Monarch Arrival Pavilion were shocked by the scene before them. This guy, Teacher Song Qinglai of Tensei Prefecture, had already stood up. He shook his head lightly, his eyes filled with shock and amazement. Even though he had always thought that Chu Hen was not bad, he never thought that he would still underestimate him. Teacher Shadowless no longer had the indifference from before on his face. Instead, it was admiration and recognition. This kid has a determined personality. He looks gentle and approachable, but he's cold and merciless towards his enemies. He's quite similar to me in this aspect. What do you mean? Song Qinglai asked with interest. Whose direct disciple is he? Shadowless asked. Don't even think about it. He worked for Shilon. Oh, Shilon. Shadowless smiled helplessly. Fine. Forget about Shilan's men. I can't compete with her. Song Qinglai also laughed. Haha, but this kid has quite a personality. He's been in the hospital for a month, but he hasn't been to Shilan's martial arts lessons even once. Is that so? The entire arena was deathly silent. Chu Hen stood there with his spear in hand. The tip of the Demon Punisher spear was deeply embedded in Ren Chong's body. Fresh blood continuously flowed out from Ren Chong's wounds and mouth. His body trembled like a little bird shivering in the cold wind. Hey, why don't you kill me? Do you have the guts? Ren Chong had some background in the imperial capital, especially since he was very close to Wei Qingfan. If Chu Hen dared to touch him, Wei Qingfan would definitely not let him off. Looking at the mocking smile on Ren Chong's face, Chu Hen's deep eyes were as cold as the icicles in the winter. Just now, I really did want to kill you. Chu Hen's tone was slow and gentle, but it gave people an incomparably cold feeling. His unswerving eyes stared straight at Ren Chong's gaze. His throat lightly rolled, and he faintly replied, "But now, I've changed my mind. I believe that making you a cripple would be much more refreshing than killing you." What? Ren Chong was shocked, and so were all the people present. As soon as he finished speaking, the Demon Punisher spear released a blinding black light. The next moment, a surging wave of hidden energy flowed from Chu Hen's palm into Ren Chong's body through the body of the Demon Punisher spear. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded on the stage, and everyone felt as if their hearts had been hit by a heavy hammer. Under countless gazes filled with fear, a scarlet rain of blood burst out from the dantian of Ren Chong's abdomen. The hidden force that originated from the Demon Punisher spear had instantly shattered his dantian and his major martial veins. Once the dantian was destroyed, there was no cure. Ren Chong's mocking words had caused him to be crippled for the rest of his life. Ah! An extremely mournful scream came from Ren Chong's mouth, and he directly fell to the ground. He painfully felt the splattering of blood and the rapid loss of his true energy. I don't want to be a cripple. The king of newcomers in Tifeng Province, the strongest genius among the newcomers in the imperial capital this year. All of his glory was mercilessly stripped away in an instant. Ren Chong's facial features were twisted, and the endless pain caused his entire face to become especially sinister. Looking at the scene on the stage, everyone present felt a chill run down their spines, especially the He Chao and He Xian brothers from the Bright Moon Academy area. At this moment, they truly realized how terrifying Chu Hen was. When this fellow became ruthless, it really made people tremble with fear. However, the one with the most unsightly expression was naturally Yu. She really couldn't understand why there was such a huge difference between the Chu Hen she knew in the past and the current one. The cruelty and mercilessness he had towards his enemies, as well as his powerful cultivation. Who knew that Chu Hen's current achievements were all thanks to Yu? Anger, pain, resentment, misery, all sorts of different negative emotions surged in Ren Chong's heart, and he continuously cursed with resentment. Chu Hen coldly looked at his opponent and said in an especially disdainful tone, "The king of newcomers in the imperial style is only SOSO. The king of newcomers in the imperial style is only SOSO." These few simple words slapped Ren Chong's face, slapped Tifeng Province's face, and even more so, slapped the faces of countless people present. Those who had previously said that Chu Hen would definitely die had now all obediently shut their mouths. And Chu Hen didn't look at him anymore. He placed the demon Punisher spear on his back, turned around, and was about to leave. "Ah, damn bastard. I'll kill you." In his rage, Ren Chong crawled up from the ground pathetically, and with bloodthirsty eyes, he charged towards Chu Hen with a face full of resentment and unwillingness. "I'll kill you. I'll tear your body into 1,000 pieces." Ren Chong, who was known as a genius, couldn't bear such a merciless blow. Anger had already caused him to lose his rationality. At this moment, he only had one malicious thought, and that was to kill Chu Hen. He had to kill him, but how could Ren Chong do as he wished? Just as Ren Chong was less than 2 meters behind Chu Hen, killing intent surged in Chu Hen's eyes, and the sharp tip of his spear blossomed with a dazzling cold light. Chu Hen stopped. Yu hurriedly stood up from her seat and coldly berated. However, in the face of Yu's angry rebuke, Chu Hen's movements didn't pause in the slightest. He instantly turned around, and with the sound of the air being torn apart, he mercilessly sent the demon Punisher spear into Ren Chong's heart. This! A sharp sound once again pierced everyone's eardrums, and everyone's pupils shrank to the size of a needle. The demon Punisher spear, stained with fresh blood, forcibly pierced through Ren Chong's chest and came out from his back. Blood splattered everywhere, and death filled the air. The 1-meter-long spear light pierced straight down, killing the newcomer king of Difeng in one strike. Everyone's hearts trembled, and many people's legs were trembling. Yu's face turned as white as a sheet, and her eyes trembled uncontrollably as she watched the scene unfold below the stage with a mixture of shock and anger. Ren Chong, whose heart had been pierced, was limp like mud. He hung on the tip of the demon Punisher spear, his lips faintly flapping, like a fish out of oxygen. His life was rapidly draining away. His gradually dimming eyes looked powerlessly at Chu Hen, and finally, fear and unwillingness were permanently fixed on his face. Dead. The newcomer king of Difeng had been killed by Chu Hen just like that. Shock filled everyone's hearts, especially Manager Yao and the others in the audience area. They were so scared that their faces had turned white. Although this wasn't the first time a student had died in the Star Elite competition, the one who had died this time was Ren Chong. How are they going to explain this to Tifeng Province? How are they going to explain this to the Ren family? You actually dare to kill him. Yu's hands were tightly clenched together, her knuckles faintly turning white. Buzz! Suddenly, Chu Hen's gaze turned to Yu, a sharp glint in his eyes. With a slight movement of his arm, he directly lifted Ren Chong's corpse off the ground. "Miss Yi." Chu Hen coldly looked at Yu, his voice even colder than his eyes. "The reason I, Chu Hen, am able to have what I have today is all thanks to you, Miss Yi. The debt that you and that person owe me, I, Chu Hen, will repay it with interest. Please tell that person, today is just the interest. One day I, Chu Hen, will pierce this cold spear into his throat. Today is just the interest. One day I, Chu Hen, will pierce this cold spear into his throat." His ice-cold and heavy words were like a tsunami that battered the hearts of everyone present. Countless people present trembled in submission under Chu Hen's 3 feet-long spear. Yi Yu still had anger in her eyes as she stared at the other party. Remember, I'll add one last sentence. The current you, Miss Yi, is nothing in my eyes. Chu Hen's voice was cold as he said, "Bang!" Ren Chang's corpse heavily fell to the ground. Chu Hen's merciless gaze directly fell on Yi Yu's body through the distance of several dozen meters. Yi Yu's delicate body violently trembled, her expression changing again and again. At this moment, she clearly saw a fierce hatred in Chu Hen's eyes. This kind of gaze was something that Chu Hen had never shown to her before. In the past, when they were in Flaming Rain City, his gaze had always been warm. But now it was completely different. As for the so-called him, there was no need to think to know that it was Wei Qingfan. Did Chu Hen already know of Wei Qingfan's existence? He also knew everything that had happened in the past. Who had told him? Yu couldn't help but tremble. It was because of anger, but also because of faint fear. One day Chu Hen, will pierce this cold spear into his throat. Chapter 76. The night wind was bleak, and the air was cold and solemn. A gentle night breeze blew over, and there was a bone-piercing coldness to it. On the arena, Chu Hen stood with the demon Punisher spear on his back, displaying his youthful arrogance. A drop of scarlet blood flowed down the tip of the spear, and the 3-foot-long spear light was sharp and dazzling. Ren Chang's corpse lay quietly not far away, and his eyes were wide open, without any signs of life. The newcomer king of Difeng had been killed by Chu Hen with a single strike of his spear. And the words that Chu Hen had just said to Yi Yu had once again shocked the hearts of everyone present. I, Chu Hen, am able to have what I have today, all thanks to you, Missy. The debt that person owes me, I will repay it in full with interest. In my eyes, you, Miss Yi, are nothing. Today, I'm only collecting some interest. One day Chu Hen, will definitely stab this cold spear into his throat. Every word was like a needle, as sharp as a knife, piercing straight into Yi Yu's heart. Everyone felt an indescribable chill in their hearts, and Yi Yu's expression became extremely ugly. Her delicate body trembled, and she was both shocked and angry. Chu Hen's words were like a resounding slap, landing heavily on her face. However, Yi Yao, who was standing beside Yi Yu, was also feeling very uncomfortable. She had never imagined that the relationship between her sister and Chu Hen would become like this. But Yi Yao was also very clear that this was all caused by her sister, Yi Yu. Chu Hen had not deliberately caused trouble, and all he had done was to collect a debt. But the more it was like this, the more worried Yi Yao was. She was really afraid that one day, Yi would point her sword at Chu Hen, and Chu Hen would not hesitate to point his demon Punisher spear at Yi Yu. In a private room by the window on the 3rd floor of Junlai Pavilion, Wei Qingfan's face was already extremely gloomy and livid. This Chu Hen was actually declaring war on him. Despicable bastard. Wei Qingfan's icy cold eyes surged with dense killing intent. At this moment, if it wasn't for the fact that the situation didn't allow it, he would have already charged down and killed that detestable bastard on the spot. This is the 9th rank of the Meridian opening realm you spoke of? Wei Qingfan coldly asked Wei Han. Wei Han's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, "It's this subordinate's fault. I really didn't expect his strength to rise so quickly." Humph! Wei Qingfan snorted coldly, and the killing intent in his eyes intensified. Above and below the arena, after a moment of dead silence, the atmosphere gradually became noisy. The first to cheer were naturally the new students of Tensei Prefecture. Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the others all raised their arms and cheered loudly. Senior brother Chu Hen is mighty. Senior brother Chu Hen is good. First place in the Sharp Star competition. First place. Haha. Tensei Prefecture has finally taken first place. Cheers filled the entire arena. After so many years, Tensei Prefecture had finally been able to hold its head high. The new students of other high-ranked martial houses only remained silent. Many people's gazes subconsciously swept towards the two geniuses of Imperial Martial Academy, Yang Yute and Shushuiro. Humph! An indifferent smile appeared on Yang Yute's face. Shortly after, he stood up from his seat. However, Shushuiro slightly extended her hand to stop him. What? Yang Yute asked, still puzzled. Forget it. Shushuiro's voice was gentle, but there was a deeper meaning in her tone. Huh? Yang Yute laughed, then shook his head. First place will always belong to Imperial Martial Academy. No one can take it away. A frivolous arrogance surged in Yang Yute's eyes. Then he directly headed towards the arena. The competition hasn't ended yet. You've already decided that you're first? A mocking voice immediately caused the cheers of Tensei Prefecture to stop. Shortly after, everyone's gazes swept towards Yang Yute. Imperial Martial Academy finally can't help but make a move. I heard that Yang Yute's strength is comparable to Rin Chong's, but Rin Chong died at the hands of Chu Hen. However, Chu Hen's true yuan must be almost exhausted. Yang Yute is waiting for him to exhaust himself. Who do you think will win? The situation on the arena was very clear. Chu Hen had consecutively defeated He Chao and killed Rin Chong. Everyone knew that his true yuan power must have been consumed to the point where there was not much left. If Yang Yute were to make a move at this time, it could be said that he had a 90% chance of winning against Chu Hen. After working so hard for so long, in the end, it was all for someone else's benefit. F*CK. That guy from Imperial Martial Academy. Don't you have any shame? Are you trying to take advantage of him? Mufone directly opened the door and scolded. That's right. You didn't go up earlier and waited until now to make a move. It's obvious that you're taking advantage of him. Yang Yute did not take the Tensei Prefecture's dissatisfaction to heart at all. He walked up the arena leisurely and looked at Chu Hen with a playful gaze. He said with a faint smile, "There's no such thing as absolute fairness in this world." Junior brother Chu Hen, don't you think so? I agree, Chu Hen replied calmly. Looking at you, junior brother, it seems like you're not planning to give up your position as Star Elite's first. To Yang Yute, the reason he came here today was to obtain the position of first newcomer. It was not necessary for him to fight Chu Hen. It was fine if Chu Hen knew he had to retreat. However, Chu Hen did not seem to have any intention of stepping down. His deep and determined gaze passed through the distance of more than 10 meters and met Yang Yute's gaze calmly. If you can get rid of the disdain in your eyes, I can give up the position of Star Elite's first to you. The moment these words left his mouth, the people below the arena could not help but feel a little restless. Just like what Chu Hen had said, from the moment he went up the arena, Yang Yute had a playful expression on his face. In other words, Yang Yute did not respect his opponent, even if it was Chu Hen who had killed Defang's newcomer king in public. Especially the provocative look in his opponent's eyes, it made Chu Hen very unhappy. Haha, I'm sorry, but that's just how I am. Not only did Yang Yute not restrain himself, but the playful smile on his face became even wider. He raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "However, I advise you to bear with it. Even if you have the ability to kill Rin Chong, I, Yang Yute, won't put you in my eyes." It was a blatant provocation. A cold and formless wave of air spread out from the arena. Many people below the arena were slightly surprised. This was the pride that belonged to Yang Yute, the pride that belonged to one of the two newcomer kings of Imperial Martial Academy. Yang Yute had the qualifications to be arrogant, because in his eyes, Chu Hen was not the only one who could defeat Rin Chong. He could as well. Everyone below the arena had different feelings. The most obvious were the people from Tensei Prefecture, Yu Chenyu, and the others. As for Yiyu, who had already calmed down, her face was slightly cold. She hoped to see Chu Hen lose all face in Yang Yute's hands. A sharp aura flowed out from Yang Yute's body. All the newcomers and genius students present had to retreat when they stood in front of him. However, Chu Hen did not. His expression was calmer than expected. Bear with it? Chu Hen smiled. His smile was natural and relaxed. He shook his head and said, "Bear with it. I only choose to bear with those who are temporarily stronger than me. You don't have the qualifications for me to bear with it." A merciless counterattack. Chu Hen's youthful arrogance once again caused people to exclaim in admiration. Yang Yute's eyes immediately turned cold. The smile that rose from the corner of his mouth contained a tinge of viciousness. Very good. Today, I want to see exactly what qualifications you have to speak such arrogant words. If you think that you have the ability to speak such nonsense in front of me after killing Rinchong, then you are gravely mistaken. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, a surge of true origin surged out from Yang Yute's body. Everyone could clearly feel that the true origin surrounding Yang Yute's body was actually stronger than Rinchong's. Streaks of fiery red, true origin power lingered on his arms, like spiritual snakes coiling around him. The people below the arena were secretly shocked. This Yang Yute was indeed not someone to be trifled with. In this way, Chu Hen was truly in danger. I hope you can still say such shameless words later. Swish. Before his voice died away, Yang Yute directly unleashed a piercingly cold and surging aura towards Chu Hen. The surging aura was like an attack from a ferocious beast. A violent gust of wind swept up sand and pebbles. Many people in the front row below the arena had their faces scratched by the fine grains of sand, causing a faint prickling sensation. Many people began to worry about Chu Hen's fate when they saw how powerful Yang Yute was. However, there were also many who rejoiced in his misfortune and secretly laughed at his arrogance. He was clearly an arrow at the end of its flight, yet he still dared to provoke Yang Yute. What was the difference between this and courting death? In an instant, Yang Yute arrived in front of Chu Hen. The red true origin surrounding his arm set off a violent energy wave. Chu Hen sneered disdainfully. Before Yang Yute's attack could reach him, an incomparably cold ice chi erupted from Chu Hen's body without any warning. What? The hearts of everyone present were shocked. The cold ice chi was extremely domineering. The temperature in the arena instantly became abnormally cold. A thick layer of frost immediately spread on the arena between Chu Hen and Yang Yute. Yang Yute, who was being attacked by the domineering ice mystic cold energy, shivered. The cold chi could actually ignore his defense. Like a bone-piercing icicle, it directly invaded the major meridians in his body. Not only did the circulation of his true origin become slower, even the movements of his hands and feet became sluggish. Yang Yute turned pale with fright. He was secretly shocked. I've said it before. You are not qualified for me to endure. Whoosh.